Chapter 1907. Can I say no? Yang Wu looked at Chun Zhao with a sad face. Oh, which generation are you from Dragon Tiger Mountain? Chun Zhao suddenly changed the topic. The Dao generation. Are you the successor of Mount Longhu? No, why do you ask? It's fine. I just want to know if old Zhang will turn against me if I kill you. Chun Zhao, we don't have such a big grudge. Also, my grandmaster loves me a lot. It's okay. I'll go find a few Qiao Fengs, Ling Hu Chong, Duan Yu, Guijing, Zhang Wuji, and so on. Your grandmaster just wants to have some fun. Hearing that, Yang Wu felt even more stifled. In Chun Zhao's words, he was a joke. All right, don't pull a long face. Go. Chun Zhao patted Yang Wu's shoulder. It's only half a year. It's not like you have to be an opportunist for the rest of your life. Yang Wu did not believe this sentence. Being a spy once meant being a spy for a lifetime. After Yang Wu got off, Chun Zhao drove away. Just then, Chun Zhao received Dell's call. Chun, come here. Oh, are you at home? No, I'm at the hotel. All right, I'll head over now. Chun Zhao arrived at the hotel and saw that Li Qing was also in Dell's office. Chun, please persuade my master. What's there to advise? Sister Qing, what's wrong? Nothing. I just want Dell to help me save the money. It's nothing big, Li Qing said. She had a check in her hand. Chun Zhao was confused. Dell, since Annie Qing asked you to save money for her, just do it for her. What's so difficult about it? Chun Zhao took the check from Li Qing and looked at it. His eyes almost popped out. $20 million. 20 million US dollars? Dell, did you give it to your master? Not me. Dell shook his head. Master said it was a client you introduced last time. That client paid her. Chun Zhao was amazed. Last time, he had introduced Li Qing to Amira casually. Amira then introduced Li Qing to her father. She didn't expect her father to be so generous as to give her 20 million US dollars. This was an astronomical figure for any spiritualist. Even if it's a lot of money, it shouldn't be a problem, right? I can guarantee that the money came from a clear source. I'm not afraid that Master's money came from an unknown source. I just feel that with so much money, Master doesn't need to work for that old bastard Ethan anymore. In fact, this had nothing to do with 20 million US dollars. Even without 20 million US dollars, Dell was willing to take care of Li Qing until she died. Dell didn't like Ethan either. Even if Li Qing helped him take care of Faith and teach her spells, he would be more than happy to do so. Chun, help me persuade my master too. She's already so rich now. She doesn't need to work at Ethan's place all day. What advice can I give? I don't care. He knew that Li Qing didn't stay with Ethan for the salary. It was because to Li Qing, she was a grateful person. When she was at her most desperate, Chun Zhao and Ethan gave her a place to stay. Just then, Li Qing said, even with the 20 million, your headquarters can't make me do nothing, right? Master, I didn't say that I want you to just eat and wait to die. If you feel that you have nothing to do, come to my hotel. We are short of a department manager. You can come here and be a department manager. Isn't it better than that small motel? You don't need me. Plus, I can't be a department manager. Dell looked at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao shrugged. I can't help you either. Dell was depressed. He'd had high hopes for Chun Zhao, but Chun Zhao rejected him directly. Chun Zhao knew that Dell and Ethan were fighting fiercely. However, they were both Chun Zhao's friends, so Chun Zhao never interfered. Mr. Chun, did your cultivation improve again? Li Qing clearly didn't want to continue this topic. She changed the topic to Chun Zhao. But Li Qing's eyesight was indeed good. Her cultivation wasn't high, but her eyesight was definitely rare. Even Zhang Tianyi might not have her eyesight. Andy Li, how can you tell? You have the chi of great minister now. Your face is a combination of dragon and tiger. Last time I saw you, you didn't have this, so I guess that your cultivation improved greatly or that you obtained some treasure. Master, what's the chi of great minister? Chi refers to power. The so-called chi of great minister is described as the tides move the wind and clouds, the hidden dragon in the mountains, the spiritual light in the heart, the treasure elephant dancing in the wind. Li Qing said, you haven't learned physiognomy yet, so you can't tell Mr. Chen's level. What about the combination of dragon and tiger? What is it? In physiognomy, a person's face is divided into upper and lower chi. The upper is cloud and the lower is wind. The cloud follows the dragon and the wind follows the tiger. That's why it's said that everyone has a dragon and a tiger. When the chi is up, the dragon is a king. When the chi is down, the tiger is a hero. Mr. Chen's face is a combination of dragon and tiger. Master, look at my physiognomy. Do I have a chance to be a king or something? You're thinking too much. You have the face of a tiger rising to the sun and a dragon diving into the water. This is the face of prosperity and wealth, and you will not have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of your life. As for the dragon, it doesn't mean that you can be a king or an emperor, but it means that this kind of physiognomy is extremely precious in the world. It doesn't respect heaven and earth. It doesn't respect ghosts and gods. It only respects one's heart. Li Qing said, people with these two types of physiognomy are either too self-centered and selfish, or they're sinister and vile. Therefore, it's not advisable to have too much contact with these two types of people. Everyone will more or less have their chi fall and their lower chi rise. This is also a person's personality that changes constantly. You have this kind of personality, and so does Mr. Chun. Everyone is the same. Many people in the world can be summed up in this way. Li Qing paused and continued. And the chi of dragon and tiger is the embrace of wind and cloud. It's a combination of yin and yang. Only people with a clear mind can have this kind of physiognomy. This kind of physiognomy is worthy of the word great. The Qingyi sect was born out of Maoshan Taoism. Maoshan was not only good at refining corpses, but also good at physiognomy. The founder of the Qingyi sect, Shangliu Qingyi, traveled the world in his early years, relying on his physiognomy. Later on, he established his own sect and became the Qingyi sect. Shangliu Qingyi's name also spread all over the world. Li Qing was the current successor of the Qingyi sect. She had third-rate abilities in subduing demons and demons, second-rate cultivation, and first-rate physiognomy. Is there anything special about the word great? Ordinary people look at their physiognomy, but people with great physiognomy can only look at their chi, not their faces. I still don't understand. Aren't they all the same? Looking at chi can see the present, not the future, but looking at the face can see the past, present, and future, Li Qing said. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 1908. Most of the Qingyi sect's books were still in Chun Zhao's hands. However, Chun Zhao couldn't learn physiognomy. Fei Lai, on the other hand, kept reading. As Li Qing's direct disciple, Dell also didn't know physiognomy. Actually, Li Qing cared more about Dell's daughter, Faith. Faith was too talented. She had a higher chance of inheriting Li Qing's legacy. Master, Chen's cultivation is higher than yours, right? Li Qing rolled her eyes. Mr. Chen's cultivation has always been higher than mine. Then how high is Chen's cultivation now? Then you should ask him yourself. Dell looked at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao shrugged. I can't tell how high it is, but I should be in the top 10 in the world. That's strong. Dell wasn't convinced. Chun, let's fight. Chun Zhao and Li Qing rolled their eyes at the same time. Although cultivation did not represent one's battle prowess. But Chun Zhao said that he could be in the top 10 in the world. His combat ability definitely wasn't weak. Dell was still at a mediocre level. However, Dell still didn't have an accurate concept of cultivation and combat ability. It was mainly because he hadn't interacted with people from the spiritual world. Who had he interacted with now? Chun Zhao, Li Qing, and his daughter Faith. None of the three of them would really fight with him. So, Dell always felt good about himself. Auntie Li, I'm going back, Chun Zhao said. Chun, don't go. Fight with me. Chun Zhao lifted his hand and flicked his finger. A small fist shadow hit the wall and created a hole. Dell, are you sure you wanted to open a hole in your body? I could do it if I trained for a while longer. Chun Zhao and Li Qing both smiled bitterly. Li Qing could tell that Chun Zhao hadn't even used 1% of his strength. Dell thought that Chun Zhao had used his full strength. But Chun Zhao didn't show his strength because he didn't want to give Dell too much pressure. It was just like the theory of speed racing. If one was ahead by only a body's length or a short distance, it it would only incite the latecomers to catch up. However, if one was in the lead for 2 big laps, it would only bring despair to the latecomers and cause them to give up on the competition. Chen Zhao knew this, and so did Li Qing. Only Dell didn't. So he basically didn't use magic in front of Dell. Even if he used it, it would be like a dragonfly touching the surface of the water. Master, what kind of spell did Chen use to punch holes in the air? Many types of magic can do that, and the Green Robe sect has them as well. However, Chen Zhao is relatively simple. As long as your cultivation reaches his level, you can also do it. Master, can you do it? I'll try. Chen Zhao strolled through the back garden of the hotel, admiring the scenery. Dell and Risfar, on the other hand, understand and enjoy it. At this moment, a group of people came over. That group of people was surrounding a person. The 2 bodyguards in front cleared the way. The garden path was narrow, and it was difficult for 3 people to stand. Chen Zhao stood in the middle of the road. The 2 bodyguards walked up to him and tried to push him. Stop, go away. Wang Yi actually enjoyed this process. He had a team of 10 personal assistants. There were also 4 bodyguards arranged by PLM to protect him during the North American trip. This was Wang Yi's first time enjoying the treatment of a superstar. Yes, a superstar. A movie had made him one of the superstars. His fame both domestically and internationally had reached its peak. This time, he had come here not only for 2 North American interview shows, but also for the celebration party. However, when he saw Chen Zhao, he quickly pushed the 2 bodyguards away. Wang Yi jogged over to Chen Zhao and smiled at him. Mr. Chen, hello. Chen Zhao glanced at the team behind Wang Yi. You sure have a lot of people here. It's all thanks to Mr. Chen, Wang Yi said, smiling apologetically. The assistants behind him were all from China. Even Wang Yi's current manager was brand new. He could summon wind and rain in the Chinese entertainment industry, but he didn't dare to put on airs before Chen Zhao. After all, he wanted to take a few more movies in Hollywood. Plus, Chen Zhao's background wasn't as simple as Hollywood. Offending Chen Zhao here would result in terrible consequences. When did you come to Los Angeles? Just today. Oh, Chen Ku is here too. We're here for the celebration party, Wang Yi said. I was going to visit you 2 days ago. Then come visit when you're free. You know where I live? Anyway. Chen Zhao nodded. I'll be going now. Okay, I won't see you off. Bye. Bye. Wang Yi kept his eyes on Chen Zhao. When he disappeared from his sight, he heaved a sigh of relief. Brother Wang, who is that person? Is he in the entertainment industry too? Manager Liu asked curiously. He had just been assigned to Wang Yi by the company. Liu wasn't old, but he was an experienced manager. His work style was also mature. He knew how to coordinate the interests of celebrities and various resources. He himself is a billionaire. The chairman of PLM and Steven are good friends of his. He was the one who helped me get the role in Abduction. Also, he was the one who arranged for me to play the role in Abduction. Also, my wife in the movie, Chen Ku, is his cousin. Wang Yi looked at little Liu. Do you think I would dare to be disrespectful to him? Little Liu gasped. He immediately understood why Wang Yi had lowered his stance so much earlier. Wang Yi still had some information that he didn't say. Chen Zhao's information wasn't as simple as he said. Will he appear at the celebration party? Probably not. He doesn't like that kind of occasion. Arrange a time, and we'll visit him tomorrow. Okay, I'll arrange the time and schedule. Wang Yi was no longer a second-tier or third-tier celebrity. In the past, he had to strictly follow his manager's arrangements for all his activities and schedules. But it was different now. All the company's resources were focused on him. Of course, there was also Chen Ku. Chen Ku's resources weren't much less than his. After all, Chen Ku was famous and influential. She was also Chen Zhao's cousin. Wang Yi didn't dare to compete with Chen Ku. Of course, their actual conflicts weren't big. After all, their roles, character designs, and development directions were all different. Moreover, Wang Yi and Chen Ku played a couple in Kidnapping. Therefore, they were recognized as a screen couple and were very popular in the domestic market. Wang Yi didn't lack fame or status. What he lacked was experience. Wang Yi was very careful when choosing new works. He didn't dare to be careless. Chapter 1909. Now, There were a few Hollywood film companies that had offered him roles, but Wang Yi didn't agree. They were all third-tier companies. There wasn't even a second-tier company. None of them were A-grade or above either. Wang Yi didn't want to make an independent movie either. He needed commercial recognition. Kidnapping had made him who he was. Now, he needed to consolidate his position. So, he needed a commercial film that had hope of success. Chun Zhao's power and connections were clearly a great help. Wang Yi obviously didn't want to become enemies with Chun Zhao. In the past, Chun Zhao had thought that the hardest job was being a doctor. But now, he felt that the hardest job was being a kindergarten teacher. When Chun Zhao returned home, Portia was already on the verge of breaking down. Chun Zhao's return was like a beacon of light in a sea of misery for Portia. "Boss, you're finally back." Portia's face was covered in tears. "I was only gone for half a day. What happened to you?" "Half a day? Why do I feel like half a century has passed?" "Okay, go rest. I'll call you when it's lunchtime." Chun Zhao patted Portia's shoulder. Portia rolled her eyes. "Boss, I'm not tired anymore." "Oh, since you're not tired, you can go by takeout. I'll go rest." Portia found a guest room and laid down. She was really tired. Chun Zhao changed his clothes and leaned against the yard. A few kids were playing in the front yard. Some were on the beach. This was Chun Zhao's favorite state. Doing nothing. Just then, a car entered Minghua Villa. Lola arrived with the 3 children. "Hi, Lola." Chun Zhao went up and kissed her. Then he looked at Vera, Ronnie, and Faith. "Lola, how come you're free today?" "Johnny went to Europe and I have to go to Australia tomorrow, so I can't take care of Vera and Ronnie. I could only bring them here." "What about Faith?" "Faith said that Vera and Ronnie aren't here and she's alone. After asking Dell, I brought her here too." "Okay." Chun Zhao shrugged. The 3 families were familiar with each other and trusted each other. They both had children, so it was normal for them to help each other take care of their children. He didn't know if Portia would go crazy after seeing 3 more children. The 3 boys were already on the beach. The 3 of them were no strangers to this place. "Stay for lunch." At the dining table, when Portia saw the 3 extra children, she looked as if she had nothing to live for anymore. On the other hand, Chun Zhao and Laura were chatting away. "By the way, is Johnny going to Europe for work?" "It's about work." Laura nodded. "One of the ocean shipping company's cargo ships has been hijacked in Somali waters, and the Somali pirates are now demanding a ransom of 50 million USD. Will Johnny be in danger?" Chun Zhao asked, frowning. "He won't go to Somalia. Nothing will happen to him. I'm fine." Chun Zhao nodded. "Is Somalia a place for people?" He didn't even know when a bullet would be fired from the shadows. "Where was Johnny's ship hijacked in the Somali waters?" "I know some pirates. Maybe they can help." "You know pirates?" Laura looked at Chun Zhao, surprised. "You know my job. Pirates have appeared in my patient list before. Are you sure that the pirates you know can help?" "Our biggest problem right now isn't money, but how to ensure the safety of the crew." Laura's words weren't just for humanitarian reasons, but for universal values. It also concerned the future of the ocean shipping company. If a company couldn't ensure the safety of its employees, it would be very passive. "I'm not 100% sure, but there's still hope. Even if we have to negotiate, it's better to negotiate with pirates than with Johnny." Of course, Chun Zhao knew that the Somali pirates were completely different from the pirates in other waters. Most of the Somali pirates were actually rebels. Plus, they wouldn't follow the rules, let alone be trustworthy. Laura hesitated for a moment. "Do you want to give it a try?" Laura wasn't confident. Of course, she didn't want Risfar to take the risk. But Risfar had always been very daring. Who knew if he would really go to Somalia? "Give me the cargo ship's information." After lunch, Laura was about to leave. "Chun, I'll leave it to you, but don't force yourself. At most, you'll have to pay a ransom. It's not unacceptable for us." "I understand." Chun Zhao nodded. After Laura left, Chun Zhao picked up the phone. "Gurette, do you have any relationship with the Somali pirates?" "They're just a bunch of barbarians." "Why do you ask?" Gurette asked, confused. "My friend's cargo ship was robbed. I'm afraid I can't help you. My people and I are only active in the Pacific. We can't set foot in the Somali waters." "Okay, do you have any good suggestions?" "What do you want?" "My friend is in the shipping business, after all. Will there be any problems?" Chun Zhao asked. Don't worry. Those aren't normal pirates. They're just looking for an opportunity to do something. The power on the sea is at most a few small fishing boats. Next time, as long as we avoid this area and go a few hundred nautical miles, the Somali pirates won't be able to do anything. Mr. Risfar, it's too risky. You don't have to come here yourself. No, I do. Risfar was in the Somali waters at the moment. He was on a modified armed ship. Risfar's expression didn't look good. He wanted to know why his cargo ship had been hijacked. He had some connections with the local rebel government. Every year, they would give him a few $1,000,000 for passage. Thus, his cargo ship often passed by this area. There had never been any danger or hijacking. A few $1,000,000 wasn't a lot, but it wasn't a small amount either. If all the ships under his company chose to go around this area, the cost would increase correspondingly. The price he would have to pay would be 10 times more than the few $1,000,000. He had to figure out if these pirates and the rebels behind them were still trustworthy and if they could still maintain courtesy. After all, this wasn't a glorious thing. As the top ocean shipping company in Europe, if such a scandal was exposed, it would be a huge blow to the company's image. Risfar couldn't tell the negotiation team, so he could only do it himself. Chapter 19:10. Just then, a fishing boat appeared in front of the ship. It wasn't even a third of the size of the ship. Mr. Risfar, the ship in front sent a message. It's a messenger sent by Roaman. He's requesting to come closer. Okay, Risfar said. Let him come closer. Risfar stood on the deck of the ship and watched the fishing boat come over. But it didn't slow down. It still charged at Risfar. Oh no, he's going to hit our ship. Shoot. We have to sink them. Our ship is so big. It should be fine, right? Risfar didn't understand, but he didn't sound confident either. Mr. Risfar, they must have explosives on the ship. But this time, the fishing boat was too close, and the fishing boat was equipped with iron armor. The ship's firepower wasn't weak, but its cannons had medium to long range. It couldn't fire at the nearby fishing boat. The machine gun on the ship fired at the fishing boat's armor, but it didn't have any effect. The fishing boat had been scheming. It had tricked Risfar into crossing the safety line. Mr. Risfar, get down. Risfar's bodyguard suddenly pressed him to the ground. Boom! With a loud bang, the entire ship began to shake. The hull was severely damaged. It started tilting. Just then, a dozen fishing boats appeared around the ship. It was obvious that this was a trap that had been prepared beforehand. The crew on the ship fell into the water. Risfar also struggled on the surface. The people on the fishing boats started shooting at the sea. A life buoy with a rope was thrown in front of Risfar. Then, he was pulled onto one of the boats. Less than 20 minutes later, he was thrown onto the deck. He went from a big boss to a prisoner. Risfar looked up and saw his former partner, Roaman, standing before him. Beside Roaman stood a white man. He clearly wasn't a Somali pirate. Mr. Roaman, what do you think of my plan? Good, very good. Roaman grinned, revealing a mouth full of black teeth. Although Luo Amon was dressed like a tribesman, he spoke fluent English. Luo Amon looked at Risfar on the deck. Mr. Risfar, this is the second time we've met, right? Roaman, do you know what you're doing? Risfar was furious. Of course I know, Mr. Risfar. I'm short of money recently, so I can only do this. I hope you can understand my difficulties, Luo Amon said proudly. How much do you want? Risfar regretted it at the moment. However, he knew very well that if he didn't pay the price this time, he wouldn't be able to escape. In fact, he might even die here this time. Not much, just 1 billion USD. You won't get the money, Risfar snorted. In the business world, asking for a sky-high price was important, and the same applied to kidnapping and ransom. If he directly agreed to the other party's request, then the other party would feel that he wanted too little. Then, he would ask for more money. I believe your family will agree, the white man standing next to Luo Amon said with his hands in his pockets. You're dreaming. Risfar closed his eyes. Crawl, are you sure the guy's family will pay? 1 billion USD. That's not a small amount. Of course, I'm very sure. Does he really have that much money? For a Somali rebel leader like Luo Amon, a few million USD was already a windfall for them. 1 billion USD was an unimaginably astronomical number. Risfar's worth is much more than that, Kral said. Much more than that? Then can we get more money? Kral shook his head. Although his worth is much more than that, he doesn't have that much cash unless he sells his assets. That will take a long time. Then we can wait, Luo Amon said. No, we can't wait. Kral immediately objected firmly. Kral immediately objected. People like him are too influential and powerful. He can even influence the government. We can't give his forces time to prepare. Once they're ready, it will be very troublesome. After taking the money, we'll kill him. Kill him? Can't we keep extorting him? Luo Amon said with pity. Keep extorting? You're thinking too much. Kral sneered. Even you have to hide after taking the money. I'm not afraid. I have an army. Army? Can your army defeat the Americans? Kral looked at the bumpkin in disdain. This guy didn't know when to stop. Kral didn't want to expose himself. Since the bumpkin was so stupid, he couldn't let him live. Kral knew very well that if he was exposed, then there would be endless trouble. Risfar's family wouldn't just let him go. Although Kral was a professional mercenary, Risfar's family would definitely hire many killers and mercenaries. The number would be unimaginable. Kral would be hunted for the rest of his life. No matter how capable Kral was, he didn't want to face such a life. Luo Amon was naive enough to think that he could do whatever he wanted with an army. He didn't understand how terrifying capitalists were. After the fishing boat docked, Risfar was dragged ashore. Then, he was thrown into a smelly dungeon. Risfar knew very well that he wouldn't be able to survive this time. He was too confident. He thought that with enough force, he could protect himself even in Somalia. He didn't expect that Luo Amon would prepare a trap for him. Just then, the door to the dungeon opened again. Luo Amon and Kral walked in. 2 other people came with them. They aimed their cameras at Risfar. Risfar immediately understood their intention. They wanted to film him being kidnapped and send it to Lola. This made Risfar very angry. But his anger was of no use. He couldn't do anything. Kral threw a piece of paper to Risfar and asked him to read it. Risfar was obviously unwilling. But then there was a series of punches and kicks. Risfar quickly gave in and compromised. These people were very heavy-handed. They beat Risfar until he curled up on the ground. The footage they filmed was even more cruel and bloody. Mr. Risfar, look. If you cooperate with us obediently, you won't have to suffer like this. Chapter 1911. Chun, something happened. Laura ran to Mingwe Villa in a panic. What happened? Chun Zhao saw Laura running over in a hurry. Didn't he say he was going on a business trip today? However, when Laura saw Ronnie and Vera, she forced herself to control her emotions. Didi, take your sister outside to play, Chun Zhao said. After the children all left, Laura gave Chun Zhao her phone. It was a video. The more Chun Zhao watched, the more serious his expression became. What's going on? Johnny's in trouble. He went to Somalia and was kidnapped by the local rebels. Laura was at a loss. Chun, do you have cash? Johnny and I only have 200 million in our accounts. Yes. Chun Zhao nodded and picked up the phone. Andrews, help me transfer all the cash in my account. How much cash do I have? Hearing Andrews' answer, Chun Zhao nodded. At the same time, he said to Laura, Laura, don't worry. I have 600 million in my account. I'll find someone to borrow some more. Chun, I'll go find someone myself. It's okay. My friend has cash, Chun Zhao said, shaking his head. Okay, Laura, rest here. I'll go find my friend. Thank you, Chun. Chun Zhao called Fei Lai first, telling her to put down her work and come back to accompany Laura. Hearing the situation, Fei Lai immediately rushed back from the coastal rescue team. Laura, don't worry. Chun knows a lot of friends. It'll be fine. Fei Lai immediately went to Laura and comforted her. Laura actually wanted to believe Fei Lai, but she also knew that Fei Lai's words were mostly to comfort her. To Laura, it wasn't the time to think about money. Instead, she was thinking about whether Risfar could come back alive. Laura, do you know the information about the person who kidnapped Johnny? The more detailed, the better. I only know that his name is Roaman, a rebel leader in Malka. He has more than 10,000 people under him. Laura looked at Chun Zhao worriedly. Chun, is this enough? Yes. Chen Zhao nodded. Fei Lai, stay with Laura. I'm going out. Okay. Fei Lai nodded understandingly. Mr. Graves, can I ask you something? Graves was surprised to receive Chen Zhao's call. Mr. Chen, did the two bodyguards I arranged make a mistake? Glavers thought that something had happened to the two bodyguards, which was why Chen Zhao had called to question them. No. I wanted to ask if you have any intelligence on Somalia. What would you like to know, Mr. Chen? Glavers asked. A rebel leader called Roaman. The more details, the better. Mr. Chen, I run a security company. Although I have my own contacts and intelligence, I can't guarantee anything. $10 million. I don't care how much you give to your network. I want an answer in 30 minutes. I want all the information about this rebel leader named Roaman. All right, I'll find out all the information about this guy in 30 minutes. As soon as Glavers hung up, he received a message from his bank. $10 million had been added to his account. Glavers didn't know why Chen Zhao was looking for this rebel leader called Roaman. However, he could feel the coldness in Chen Zhao's tone. Half an hour later, Glavers called Chen Zhao again. Mr. Chen, did you receive the message I sent you? Yes, I got it. Chen Zhao saw that the information was quite comprehensive and was quite satisfied. Mr. Chen, if you need, I can help you get rid of this guy. Of course, the price will be good. Thanks, but no need, Chen Zhao said indifferently. Glavers was a bit disappointed. Chen Zhao had actually spent $10 million on intelligence. If he hired them, wouldn't it be even more? Unfortunately, Chen Zhao didn't choose them. If there was one place in the world that was wild, it would be Somalia. There was no other place in the world that was as wild and chaotic as Somalia. There were no rules here. No one was absolutely safe. Even the Middle East was like heaven compared to Somalia. Government troops, rebels, warlords, criminal organizations, pirates, mercenaries, and even killers formed a terrifying and chaotic zone here. Here, kids as young as 7 or 8 would attack people with weapons. Perhaps this 7 or 8-year-old child had killed more people than anyone else. At night, the gunshots wouldn't stop. Every now and then, there would be gunshots. After a while, it would fall silent again. This was the norm here. Chen Zhao arrived at Marca, Somalia. There were broken walls everywhere. The buildings were very old. After the war, they became even more dilapidated. Chen Zhao seemed to have entered a Chinese village in the 1970s. Marca used to be an important city in Somalia. It had a certain industrial base, but the civil war had destroyed everything here. There weren't even 100,000 people in Marca now. More than half of them were related to the rebels. There were fortresses and pillboxes everywhere. There were traces of war everywhere. While Chen Zhao was strolling around, 2 black men stopped him and interrogated him in Somali. Their muzzles were almost at Chen Zhao's head. Chen Zhao raised his arms, his expression fearless. He allowed the 2 of them to search his body. Do you speak English? Chen Zhao asked. These 2 black men were complete foot soldiers. How could they understand English? They didn't understand English, but they knew that Chen Zhao was speaking it. When they didn't find anything, they pushed Chen Zhao, cursing. They seemed to want to take Chen Zhao somewhere. Just then, a white man suddenly appeared. When he saw Chen Zhao, he was clearly stunned. Asian? Hey, hi. You speak English, right? Chen Zhao was surprised. Crawl glanced at Chen Zhao. He thought that Chen Zhao saw him as his savior. Do you know where Risfar is now? Crawl was about to leave. Hearing Chen Zhao's words, he suddenly stopped. Who are you? Crawl stared at Chen Zhao. I was sent by Mr. Risfar's family to negotiate with Roaman. Chen Zhao said seriously. What do you want to talk about? Mr. Roaman already gave us his conditions, Crawl said. Your only choice now is to accept our conditions. Chapter 19:12. I need to at least confirm if Mr. Risfar is alive, Chen Zhao said. Otherwise, why would I give you the money? Crawl thought for a moment. Then he spoke to the 2 men in Somali. Then he brought Chen Zhao to the dungeon. Outside the dungeon, Chen Zhao was searched again. They were clearly worried that Chen Zhao had some kind of tracking device on him. Of course, reality proved that they were worried for nothing. Chen Zhao didn't have anything on him. The man who searched Chen Zhao wanted to take his ring. However, he couldn't take it off even after trying for a long time. Kral and his men checked Chun Zhao's body with equipment again. Just then, Luo Amon arrived. Chun Zhao had seen Luo Amon's information, including his photo. He knew that the last man was Luo Amon. Is this Asian here to pay the ransom? Yes. Kral nodded. What about the money? He needs to confirm if Risfar is still alive. Is he okay? No, I checked him. There's nothing wrong with him. Then hurry up. Let him take a look at Risfar and then take the money. Then Chun Zhao was pushed into the dungeon. In the dim dungeon, Chun Zhao saw Risfar lying on the ground, covered in wounds. Risfar. Chun Zhao immediately went up to check his injuries. Risfar slowly opened his eyes. When he saw Chun Zhao, his face was filled with shock. Risfar propped himself up with difficulty. Chun, why are you here? To take you home. What nonsense are you talking about? You shouldn't be here. Don't worry. Wait here. I'll go out and talk to them. I think they'll agree to my request. Chun Zhao patted Risfar's shoulder. Chun, those people can't communicate with words at all, Risfar said worriedly. Find a chance to leave. Don't worry, Chun Zhao said with a smile. I didn't plan on communicating with them in the first place. Bang, bang. At this moment, the mercenary standing outside the door knocked on the metal door heavily. Time's up. Come out now. Chun Zhao gave Risfar a look and walked to the door. The moment the metal door closed, Risfar, who was in the dungeon, suddenly heard a scream from outside. After calming down, Risfar could tell that it wasn't Chun Zhao's voice. Moreover, he knew that Chun Zhao was very skilled. Did Chun Zhao want to kill their way out of here with just one person? But was that even possible? The people outside the passageway also heard the screams coming from inside. Kral's expression changed. The person he'd sent to follow Chun Zhao didn't come out. One of Chun Zhao's hands was stained with blood. He immediately raised his gun and pointed it at Chun Zhao. Bang, bang. Clower fired without hesitation. Chun Zhao moved his body twice, and Kral's 2 shots missed. Kral was stunned. Smiling, Chun Zhao took out a grenade and pulled the ring. Kral's expression changed drastically, and he immediately flew to the side of the aisle. Chun Zhao had already thrown the grenade out. Bang! Both Kral and Roaman ran out of the room and called for their men to rush in. Meanwhile, Risfar, who was in the dungeon, fell into a state of panic because intense gunshots and explosions could be heard everywhere outside. After Chun Zhao had left, the gunshots and explosions hadn't stopped. Kral and Roaman didn't know what to do. They realized that the Asian couldn't be killed at all. In the beginning, their men could still rush into the building. However, after they entered the building, all they heard were miserable screams. Then, they never came out again. Eventually, no one was willing to go in anymore. Just because they didn't go in didn't mean that the person wouldn't come out. Then, miserable screams rang out beside them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, 100, Kral, hurry up and think of something. Aren't you an elite mercenary? Roaman yelled at Kral, somewhat terrified. Kral wanted to solve the problem, but he didn't know how. His men weren't good at direct conflict. He was best at planning behind the scenes. For example, this time, it was through a series of traps that he managed to kidnap a billionaire. Now, he was facing a terrifying murderer. He'd completely lost his sense of propriety and thought. No matter how many people came, they couldn't kill the man. Seeing that Kral didn't know what to do, Roaman could only keep calling for his army. Just then, a tank entered the battlefield. Boom! The tank fired into the darkness. However, the tank's shell didn't hurt him. Instead, it helped Chun Zhao get rid of the minions around him. Chun Zhao went over and dismantled the tank. Soon, Kral and Roaman realized that they couldn't understand the situation on the battlefield. Many times, the situation on the battlefield was beyond what humans should be capable of. For example, the tank had been cut open for no reason. Gradually, they vaguely realized maybe it wasn't humans who were fighting them. To be honest, killing was the most boring thing. Chun Zhao couldn't understand people who were addicted to killing. At least, the process wasn't interesting. The rebels weren't actually all bad people. Most of the time, they were forced to join the rebels and participate in this immoral war. More and more rebels chose to escape. Of course, Chun Zhao wouldn't let the main culprit escape. After half an hour of madness, the entire marca fell into silence. Roaman and Crawl were curled up in a low bungalow. They thought that they could escape the butcher this way. But the moment the door was pushed open, they fell into despair. They had guns to kill. Their guns were all aimed at the man at the door. Chen Zhao stood at the door. "Do you think that thing in your hands is really trying to kill me?" At that moment, Roaman opened fire. But Chen Zhao reached out and pinched the bullet. This action made them completely lose the will to fight. They finally realized that the person before them really wasn't human. At least, humans couldn't catch bullets. Seeing them put down their guns, Chen Zhao finally smiled. "Good. It seems like you finally understand your situation. How much money did Risfar give you?" "I can give you double, no triple." No. You can work with us. We can extort more money from him," Roaman said excitedly. Chapter 19:13. Just then, Chen Zhao suddenly heard strange cries from the forest. Unusual lights seemed to appear in the forest. They were like the eyes of a pack of beasts, but there weren't many beasts that moved in groups in the forests of Africa. Mountain gorillas were one, and there were also mountain wolves. But mountain gorillas would never approach human settlements. Mountain gorillas might look big and burly. In reality, they were all very timid and smart. They knew the dangers of humans. As for the wolf pack, it was even more unlikely for them to get close to human settlements, because wolves decided their range and number of packs based on the amount of food they had. The closer they were to human settlements, the less food there was. Perhaps 1 or 2 mountain wolves would occasionally approach a human village, but it was impossible for the entire pack to approach. Moreover, there weren't just a dozen pairs of eyes in the forest, but hundreds. The owner of those eyes let out a low and hoarse voice. Luo Amon suddenly shivered. He seemed to know what it was. "Spirit beast. Spirit beast. It's a spirit beast." Luo Amon cried out in terror. Just then, a long howl came from the forest. The howl was loud and clear, echoing in the forest. At that moment, the few rebel soldiers who had escaped earlier ran back in panic. They weren't afraid of Chen Zhao anymore. They passed by Chen Zhao, shouting as they ran. Chen Zhao didn't care about them. Instead, he kept looking forward. Just then, a rebel in front of Chen Zhao was suddenly pounced on by something. At first, Chen Zhao didn't see anything, but with a flash of light, a translucent beast more than 3 meters long appeared on the rebel's body. It wasn't a wolf, lion, or leopard, but it was very big and ferocious. It tore at the rebel who'd been pounced on. In just 2 or 3 moves, the rebel soldier had been bitten into a bloody mess. "Run, run, that's a spirit beast," Luo Amon cried out in terror. Large numbers of spirit beasts charged down from the forest. Very soon, the entire Marca was affected. Oh no! Chen Zhao suddenly realized that Risfar was still in the dungeon. If such a monster charged into the dungeon, Risfar would definitely die. Chen Zhao didn't care about Luo Amon and Clower anymore. He turned and charged toward the dungeon. Bang! Suddenly, the iron door of the dungeon let out a heavy banging sound. Risfar was shocked. Was Chen Zhao outside? Risfar was hesitant. After Chen Zhao left, the metal door wasn't completely closed. However, Risfar still locked the door from the inside. Risfar looked through the hole in the iron door. It was pitch black outside, and nothing could be seen. Risfar looked down at the bolt. He hesitated whether or not to open the door. "Chen, is that you?" There was no response from outside. Risfar gulped and hesitantly reached out to pull the latch. At this moment, a sharp scratching sound came from the iron gate. Risfar then saw the claw marks of some creature on the iron door. The iron door was scratched into a horrifying mark. Risfar was so frightened that he quickly retreated. There seemed to be something looking in through the scratches on the iron door. Bang! The iron door was sent flying. Risfar lowered his head in fear. The metal door slid past Risfar's scalp and stabbed into the wall behind him. Then Risfar felt something pounce on him. He clearly didn't see anything, but his body felt like it had been hit by a car. Then he saw a huge creature on top of him. The creature's body appeared slowly. Risfar didn't know what it was, but he knew that it was definitely a carnivore. Now, he was probably on the carnivore's menu. And now, he was likely to be on the menu of this carnivore. Then he saw the carnivore being pulled away from him. Then he saw the carnivore being pulled away from him. Chen Zhao pulled the spirit beast out of Risfar's body. Then it smashed heavily into the wall. The spirit beast smashed into the wall and immediately turned into a glowing cloud of dust. Then it gathered again and returned to its beast form. Chun. Risfar felt as if he had just stepped through the gates of hell. Risfar panted heavily. He was frightened, really frightened. He had never experienced something so terrifying. The spirit beast pounced at Risfar again. It seemed that it also bullied the weak and feared the strong. It knew that Chun Zhao wasn't easy to deal with. But Chen Zhao lifted his leg and swept it horizontally. The spirit beast was sent flying. However, it once again turned into dust and returned to its original state. Chen Zhao grinned. Risfar grabbed the corner of Chen Zhao's shirt. Chen, can you handle it? When the spirit beast pounced at him again, Chen Zhao added force to his fist. Bang! Chen Zhao pierced through the spirit beast's body. This time, it didn't turn into dust. Its body gradually returned to its original state. At the same time, the place Chen Zhao had pierced started bleeding. Chen Zhao twisted his neck and looked back at Risfar. Let's go. Risfar gulped. We'll be okay outside. You'll be fine as long as you don't run away. When Risfar followed Chen Zhao out, he saw that the outside had become a hell of flesh and blood. Broken limbs were everywhere. Some were done by Chen Zhao, but most were done by the spirit beasts. These spirit beasts were like a sumptuous dinner. Chen Zhao and Risfar saw Luo Almon. A spirit beast had pounced on him. The spirit beast didn't kill him directly. Instead, it was gnawing on his arm. Roaman was howling, "Save me! Save me! Mr. Risfar! Save me!" Chen Zhao looked back at Risfar. "How is it? Did you vent your anger?" Risfar's body was a bit stiff. He didn't care about Roman's life or death, but there were so many spirit beasts around. He wasn't sure if Chen Zhao could handle it. "Chen, are you sure you can handle it?" Risfar asked uncertainly. "If you can't, you can leave first. I'll hide in that dungeon. I crossed the North Atlantic to save you. Do you think I'll give up on you now?" "You crossed the North Atlantic? How'd you do it? Are you touched?" Chen Zhao grinned. "I'm not in the mood to joke with you." "Okay, I won't joke anymore. Let's deal with these problems first." Chen Zhao stretched his arms and legs. "I warmed up just now. We can officially start now." To Chen Zhao, the battle with the rebels was just a warm-up. These spirit beasts were the real battle. Chapter 1914. Careful. Suddenly, a spirit beast attacked from behind. Chen Zhao suddenly disappeared from Risfar's sight. The next moment, he kicked the spirit beast's soul away. "Do you have a cigarette?" Chen Zhao felt that he should light one and take a long drag. Risfar glanced at Chen Zhao. "There are still many things around. It's not the time to relax yet." "It's not a big problem." The spirit beasts all stopped eating and turned to look at Chen Zhao. The intelligence of these spirit beasts wasn't low. They could even understand the human language. Chen Zhao's arrogant and disdainful attitude had clearly angered them. All the spirit beasts attacked Chen Zhao at the same time. Chen Zhao casually smashed a spirit beast. Then he kicked another one to death. In the blink of an eye, he killed two. Apart from invisibility and turning into dust, these spirit beasts didn't have any special abilities. They were also very poor at attacking. They could only use physical attacks. Each individual's combat power could barely compare to an adult lion. But this level of power wasn't enough to defeat Chen Zhao. It couldn't even be considered a threat. Risfar suddenly realized that he didn't know Chen Zhao at all. If it weren't for this crisis, Chen Zhao would probably never have revealed his true abilities before him. He watched as Chen Zhao continuously slaughtered the spirit beasts before him. Risfar had a strange feeling, and a bit of anger. Chen Zhao actually hid so many secrets from him. Soon, more than 10 spirit beasts were killed. Although it was only 1%, the other spirit beasts seemed to have discovered Chen Zhao's combat power. Just then, a loud howl came from the back of the spirit beast horde. The other spirit beasts started retreating one after another. They retreated just like that. Chen Zhao had originally planned to fight for a long time. He didn't think that they'd retreat after killing only a dozen spirit beasts. Chen Zhao was quite disappointed. After all, He hadn't completed the battle he wanted. But this wasn't a bad thing. After all, Risfar was beside him. In such a chaotic situation, it was difficult for Chen Zhao to protect Risfar and fight at the same time. Their retreat wasn't a bad thing for Risfar. However, the spirit beasts had also taken away many corpses. They'd attacked Marka and killed at least 1,000 rebels. Was this the spiritual world of the African continent? It was completely different from the spiritual world in Europe, Asia, and North America. The African continent was not only human society, but it was also in a semi-barbaric era. Even the spirit world was still in a primitive age. There were actually so many magical beasts here. This spirit beast was definitely a type of magical beast, although Roaman called them spirit beasts. However, they were living creatures, not ghosts or hell creatures. However, in this continent where human society was not developed, there was still a lot of natural scenery. That was why there were so many natural magical beasts. Moreover, these spirit beasts didn't appear out of nowhere. They must have resided in this forest for a long time. That was why the locals were so familiar with them. The battle between Chen Zhao and the rebels was probably the trigger that triggered their appearance. Risfar felt like he was on a roller coaster. Chen Zhao appeared, disappeared, and reappeared again. He saw the spirit beast horde again. In the end, the spirit beast horde retreated. Risfar had never experienced such ups and downs. As the spirit beasts retreated, Risfar finally felt the joy of surviving a calamity. Chen, what should we do now? Go to the beach. I contacted a group of pirates. Pirates? Risfar shuddered. You know pirates? They're a bunch of immoral bastards. Okay, I'm different from you. The pirates I know are different from the pirates you know too. Don't compare us. What's the difference? At least I won't be kidnapped. I'm a victim. Can you give me some warmth? Laura borrowed money from me earlier and I transferred $600 million to her. Transfer it back to me later. Fuck you. Risfar gradually calmed down. He was even more grateful to Chen Zhao. When he was in the most danger, Chen Zhao had come all the way here. Then, he'd come to save him despite the danger. Before leaving, Chen Zhao had contacted Guret. When they arrived at the beach, Guret's people were already waiting there. Chen, are you sure they won't treat me as a hostage again? They wouldn't dare, Chen Zhao said. Oh, call Laura first. Chen Zhao handed a satellite phone to Risfar. But don't tell them what just happened. Risfar nodded. He respected Chen Zhao's request. Since Chen Zhao wasn't willing, he'd let him. Hey, Laura, it's me, Risfar said. I'm fine. Chen's friends saved me. Johnny, is that you? Is it really you? Laura's face was filled with disbelief. She asked Risfar over the phone. Johnny, how did you get saved? Don't ask about the details. Anyway, I should thank Chen the most. If not for him, I'd probably have died here. Risfar was truly grateful. Laura realized that Chen Zhao had gone out for a few hours. There was no reply. She didn't expect that it would only be a few hours. Chen Zhao had actually saved Risfar. Risfar and Laura chatted for a long time before hanging up reluctantly. Oh, Johnny, do you know where your ship is now? Risfar looked at Chen Zhao and then at the people on the pirate ship. Can your friends help? I only asked them to send you back. They don't care about anything else. Then what do we do? Did you forget me? It's just a ship. I don't want you to take the risk. It's not a risk for me. All right, the location should be 300 kilometers southeast of Mogadishu. Got it. Chen Zhao nodded and dove into the water. Laura, don't worry. Johnny's safe. I'm still worried that he's not back yet. Then let's go get him. Get him. Laura looked at Phalai, confused. Drive our ship out to sea, Phalai said. Are you sure? Of course. Will that work? Why not? Phalai said matter-of-factly. All right then. Laura was also very anxious at this moment. After all, Risfar had just been kidnapped, even though he'd just reported that he was safe. As long as she didn't see him, Laura couldn't be at ease. Chapter 19:15. In the latter half of the night, Chen Zhao suddenly emerged from the water and climbed onto the boat. When Risfar saw Chen Zhao emerge from the sea, he was shocked. Chen, where did you go? I helped you deal with the hijacked ship, Chen Zhao said. Stop joking. This place is at least 1,000 kilometers away from the hijacked ship. You can't swim that far. Even if you can, you don't have that much time. It'll only take you an hour to go back and forth. So you don't know me well enough. Know me? Risfar suddenly remembered that Chun Zhao's appearance here didn't make sense. Logically speaking, he hadn't been kidnapped for more than 8 hours. It would take 15 hours to get from America to Somalia, crossing the North Atlantic Ocean. Then the Gulf of Aden and the Red Sea was almost half the distance of the world. Then, you would have to drive from Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, to Malka. It would take more than 10 hours. It could be said that it would take at least a day and a half to reach Malka if there were no accidents along the way. But Chun Zhao appeared in Malka that night. This wasn't normal. Moreover, Chun Zhao had charged in alone, especially in the end, when Chun Zhao had fought against the spirits. Chun Zhao's various abilities in battle all proved that he wasn't a normal person. Risfar suddenly remembered. After their hotel had opened, Del had been acting strangely. He would occasionally do something strange. For example, he hung a Chinese 8 trigrams mirror in his office. He even had to get a strange potted plant in Risfar's office. He said it was a Chinese custom to attract wealth and treasures. Did Del know already? Risfar asked. No, he didn't just know. We're the same kind of people, Chun Zhao said. What? You're saying Del is as powerful as you? Of course, he can't cross half the world in a short time. Chun Zhao shrugged. People like us are spiritualists. Del is one of us. I'm very angry now, even angrier than when I was kidnapped. I'm actually the last person to know about this, Risfar said angrily. Risfar said angrily. If this didn't happen, how long were you planning to hide it from me? Forever. I won't forgive you and Del. Risfar was even angrier. Unless you teach me too. I can't teach you, but Del has a master. You could try your luck with her, Chun Zhao said, smiling. Of course, I can't promise you that you have the talent. Del, and you can do it. I'm sure I can too. Risfar looked at him. Are all spiritualists the same? It's different. Every spiritualist has different attributes and magic. What's your magic? My magic system is rather complicated. Anyway, I'm developing in the direction of Superman in the movies, strength. I thought it was swimming. Risfar was very curious about this strange, supernatural world. He kept asking for all sorts of information about the spirit world. Risfar asked again, did you swim across a distance of more than 10,000 kilometers? Just then, Chun Zhao's feet left the deck. Fly, fly. Risfar's eyes widened as he held Chun Zhao's feet. You can fly? Chun Zhao nodded. I will. Then why don't you fly me back? Of course, unless you want to be crushed to death by the high-pressure airflow. Chun Zhao could bring Didi around the world, but it didn't mean that he could bring Risfar. Didi was a spiritualist herself. She'd also put on all sorts of equipment before leaving. With Chun Zhao's protection, she could passively resist the high-pressure airflow. But Risfar was different. He was just a normal person. Chun Zhao could either fly slowly with Risfar or let him die in the air. This ship is too slow. When we go around Africa and reach the Atlantic Ocean, I'll have Amon send you, Chun Zhao said. Amon? You didn't forget Amon, right? Of course I remember Amon. Oh, Amon isn't a normal killer whale, right? If you see Amon now, you'll definitely be shocked. It's not like I haven't seen Amon before, Risfar said in disdain. At most, he's a bit bigger. He felt that his willpower had been thoroughly tempered. No matter what happened, he wouldn't be affected. After a 48-hour journey, the pirate ship released Chun Zhao and Risfar into the sea. The pirates on the ship were confused too. After all, they weren't familiar with Chun Zhao. But Chun Zhao got off the ship in the vast ocean. This place was thousands of kilometers away from the nearest land. They really didn't understand why Chun Zhao and Risfar would get off here. Risfar and Chun Zhao were soaking in the water. Are you sure Amon is nearby? Risfar asked worriedly. Yes, he's here. As soon as Chun Zhao said that, Risfar suddenly realized that a huge shadow was looming over from the sea. Then, he felt like he was stepping on something. Gradually, Risfar realized that he could stand up. He felt like he was stepping on land. Moreover, this piece of land was still floating up. Amon? Risfar was shocked. Soon, Amon floated to the surface with Chun Zhao and Risfar on his back. although Amon was not completely exposed to sleep. But Risfar still saw Amon's huge and illogical form. This Amon? Risfar was dumbfounded. Amon was really too big. He was more than 100 meters long and had many bone spikes on his body. He also had a pair of huge wings. From his form, one could still tell that Amon was originally a killer whale. But Risfar still couldn't calm down. Too big. Amon was really too big. He was unbelievably big. See? I told you that you'd find it unbelievable. Is this really Amon? What kind is he? Chun Zhao wouldn't tell Risfar about Amon's true identity. Risfar kept patting Amon's back, trying to talk to him. Amon was really fast. Chun Zhao was also controlling the water to speed up. This greatly shortened their journey time. Amon's appearance made Risfar even more curious about everything in the spiritual world, until the Hydra appeared in their field of vision. Chapter 1916. 3 days. Risfar had been on the sea for almost 3 days. When he boarded the Hydra, he hugged Lola excitedly. Lola had too many questions to ask Risfar. Of course, right now, she only wanted slap. Lola gave Risfar a hard slap on the face. She was angry that Risfar had gone to Somalia despite the danger. On the other hand, Chun Zhao looked at Risfar gloatingly. Risfar was helpless. What could he say? Chun, how come you're with Risfar too? I got lost on the sea. Chun Zhao grinned at Risfar. Risfar rolled his eyes. Lola glanced at Chun Zhao and didn't continue asking. She felt that she could ask Risfar later. All the children were here. This time, Lola was here to welcome Risfar. But to the children, this was a chance to go on a vacation. The children didn't know what had happened to Risfar. Of course, the adults wouldn't tell them what had happened to Risfar. Other than the beating, Risfar didn't have any other side effects. Risfar had wanted Chun Zhao to help treat him. But Lola stopped Chun Zhao. She wanted Risfar to endure the pain for a few more days. That way, she would remember this lesson. Chun Zhao and Fei Lai just watched the show. After picking up Risfar, the Hydra toured the sea for another 2 days. If Risfar and Lola didn't have to go back to clean up the mess, they probably wouldn't have left. Both of them were busy people. They might not even have a few days of vacation in a year. If not for this accident, they probably wouldn't even have time to rest. When they returned to Mingyue Villa, Risfar and Lola hurriedly said goodbye. But they still left the children at Mingyue Villa. Bang! Del, you asterisk shoal. Del put down the phone and looked at Risfar in shock. Fuck, Lola said something happened to you. I've been trying to see if I can save you. Why did you come back yourself? And why are you scolding me as soon as you come back? Did I offend you? Chun, save me. Risfar stared at Chun Zhao angrily. Are you blaming me for not helping? Del looked at Risfar, confused. No, I'm angry that you and Chun hid it from me. You're both spiritualists, but I'm the last to know. Do you understand? Chun said you have a master. Introduce him to me, and I'll forgive you. You've seen it too. When have I seen him before? Last time, when my master carried faith, you blamed me for letting a stranger carry faith. That woman is your master? Of course, Chun introduced it to me. Then quickly introduce him to me. I can introduce him to you, but I can't guarantee that master will accept you as a student. If that lady can accept you as her disciple, then I have no problem with it. That's not necessarily the case. The only reason I was able to gain master's favor was because of Faith's talent. I'm still basking in Faith's light, which proves that our family's bloodline is excellent. Risfar rolled his eyes. Faith isn't your biological daughter. It doesn't matter if she's my biological daughter or not. Faith is my daughter, so she's part of my family. A while later, Li Qing arrived at the hotel. Master, this is Risfar. You've met him, right? Hello, Mr. Risfar. No. After all, Risfar was asking for help, so he didn't dare to be disrespectful. Master, Johnny wants to be your disciple too. Li Qing looked at Risfar in surprise. Mr. Risfar, you know about the spiritual world? I just found out not long ago. Li Qing glanced at Del. You told him? No. Chun told him. I see. Li Qing looked at Risfar. Mr. Risfar, if Del's talent is bad, then you have no talent at all. So, you can't learn any of our spells. I can't learn any. Yes. Master, is there no other way? Yes. Some secret spells can let people who can't learn magic have magic power, but they have to pay a huge price. Does it cost money? Risfar asked. No, there aren't any spells that directly require money. However, those that can be called secret spells often require the sacrifice of some lives, or even one's own family. Risfar was shocked. Then I'd better not learn it. That's a wise choice. Li Qi nodded. Serengeti, the starting point of humans. According to archaeologists, the savanna of Serengeti was the origin of modern humans. Whether it was Asians or Europeans, they all came from here. Now, the supernatural organization had settled down in a temporary base in the savanna. This temporary foothold was established by the African Paranormal Alliance. It was specially for spiritualists who came here. However, the conditions of this base were somewhat poor. It only provided water and electricity every day. There were also some stalls on the streets. Other than providing some small businesses for the natives, it also provided spiritualists. Some spiritualists even started businesses here, selling magic tools or magic materials. Sorry, sir. Please don't throw trash randomly. This is a protected area. When an elite was walking on the street, he casually threw a cigarette butt, and a woman grabbed his arm. Everyone subconsciously took a few steps back and looked at Ang Elite in disgust. Angelite's face twitched. Sorry. As he spoke, Ang Elite picked up the cigarette butt. Where are you from? North America, Ang Elite answered. Us too, but we don't know him very well. West cut off his relationship with Ang Elite. Gritting his teeth, Ang Elite stared at West and the others. North America? The woman's eyes were already filled with disdain. Go and register your information. It's at the registration counter over there. Register? Why do we have to register? Recently, the spiritualists who come here often go missing or get killed. Hence, in order to ensure the safety of every spiritualist who comes to help, as well as to have a clearer understanding of every spiritualist's actions, every spiritualist who comes here now has to register. Have there been battles here all this time? There have been 2 large-scale battles, the woman said. The last one was the most intense. At least 20 spiritualists died. Miss, you are? Jiuqian Shenwang. Chapter 1917. When the woman heard West's question, her eyes clearly drifted. With a condescending look, she said, Northern Europe, the Holy Council. West had heard of the Holy Council in Northern Europe. The Holy Council wasn't a top-tier supernatural organization, but it had a certain reputation. It was like the soccer players in England and Spain. Even in second-tier leagues, they felt that their standards were higher than in China. Of course, that was the truth. They were indeed very skilled. That was undeniable. The North American supernatural world was basically the same. Even the second-tier or even third-tier organizations or sects in Europe and Asia, their standards were still higher than North America's supernatural world. The Holy Council's reputation wasn't because of their glorious deeds. It was because they were mortal enemies of the Scarlet Church. Of course, the current supernatural world wasn't like the past, where one side would fight to the death. Most of the time, mortal enemies wouldn't kill each other for no reason. Most of the time, they competed over certain things, which were battles of words. For example, if there was a competition in the supernatural world, the 2 sides might not perform the best. But once they met, they would go all out in the arena. Or if one side did something, the other side had to do it. Of course, in the past 100 years, the Scarlet Church had produced a 23rd generation Blood Mary. That was why the Scarlet Church had always suppressed the Holy Council. When Sivir looked at West and the others, she did look down on them. How barren was North America's supernatural world? Most of the time, 1 or 2 evil spirits could cause a ruckus, because no one was there to deal with it. If they were in other areas, if an evil spirit dared to cause trouble, they would definitely be dealt with properly. I'll take you there, Sivir said. In this temporary settlement, half of the people were spiritualists. The other half had interacted with spiritualists before. So here, everyone was familiar with the supernatural world and magic. The registration process was simple. Basically, everyone just had to state their identity and the organization they belonged to. but West felt that the registrants seemed to be on guard against something. West led the group out of the simple registration office. Sivir was still by his side. You better not wander around at night. Why? It's not absolutely safe here. Are you saying that other people will harm us? West asked. Do you know why we are gathered here? Protect Poison Dragon, the guardian of the grassland, West said. That's right. The ones who attacked the poisonous dragon were not only unclean creatures, but also a group of unclean humans. They worship evil gods. They think that as long as they kill the poisonous dragon, they can destroy the balance of nature. Sivir said, so, not only do we have to fight against the unclean creatures, but we also have to fight against our own kind hidden among us. Sylvie paused for a moment before continuing. In the past, most of the missing people were attacked by humans. So this registration is also to distinguish between friend and foe? Sivir nodded. Yes. Then are we under suspicion? Your passports have minimized your suspicions, Sivir said. Looks like we're in luck, West said with a smile. I live in a small house to the north of the settlement. If you have any trouble, you can come to me, Sivir replied calmly. Sivir turned around and left. Come on, let's go to our place. Mr. West, where are we staying? By the river, West said. There are some houses there. I paid some money just now, so the person in charge arranged a nice house for us. When they found a place to stay, they found that it was indeed nice. Other than the crocodiles in the river, there were no obvious flaws. As for the crocodiles' activities, it was not a problem for them. Although the houses here were all made of wood, the style was not bad. They also had some electrical equipment. They did not have to live like primitive people. West said he paid some money, but it was not a small amount. At least the money was enough to build these wooden houses. Otherwise, they would not have been assigned such a nice house. The houses by the river were in a row. 80% of them were occupied by the supernatural organization. After a few days of traveling, they could finally rest. However, before they could pack their luggage, they heard a noise outside. Come out. I want to see who dares to live in a place I like. Curses came from outside. The voice was very arrogant. Everyone in the supernatural organization heard it. One by one, they came out of their rooms. When they came out, they immediately saw an old acquaintance. When this old acquaintance saw the people from the supernatural organization, he felt as if his throat was choked by a hand. His voice was stuck in his throat. This person was none other than the person they had met in the Norwegian forest during their last mission. He was the person in charge of the Holy Flame sect in Norway, Magori Modrich. Magori Modrich opened his mouth. His face was filled with stiffness and awkwardness. He never would have thought that he would meet someone from the supernatural organization in the Serengeti Plains that was tens of thousands of miles away. He had escaped death last time. He did not expect to meet people from the supernatural organization again this time. Mr. Magori, what a coincidence. We meet again. West stood in front of the door and squinted at Magori Modrich. Jalanash walked over too. A ball of fire gathered in her palm. Mr. Magori, I've mastered the little sun I got from you last time. I can ask you for some pointers. That misunderstanding, it's really a misunderstanding, Magori Modrich hurriedly said. What a joke. If they fought with these people, they would not even know how they died. Last time, he and his men had already suffered. This time, he did not bring as many people as last time, mainly because they had suffered heavy losses last time. They still did not have enough people. If there was another conflict, even if all his men died, they would not be able to defeat the supernatural organization. Also, in the supernatural organization, the person who had left the deepest impression on Magori was Helios. This guy had killed that lunatic Ribrick. Magori felt that even if Helios was alone, they would not be able to deal with him. At this moment, he groaned inwardly. He wanted to turn around and leave. Chapter 1918. Haha, Mr. West, long time no see. Modrich laughed loudly to hide his awkwardness. I'm joking with you. I heard that you live here, so I came to catch up with you. West looked at Modrich with his hands behind his back. He still had a meaningful smile on his face. Mr. Magori, I heard that there are some evil cultists here. Could it be you? West stared coldly at Magori Modrich. Don't joke around. Although our Holy Flame sect's teachings are incompatible with the general public, we are very different from the real evil cultists. Holy Flame sect was now an evil sect, but evil sect and evil cult were two different concepts. Evil sects were the kind where I know I'm a bad person and do bad things. Evil cultists turn twisted logic into truth. I'm a good person. You have to believe in me and my teachings. Like Holy Flame sect, if they were willing, they could even carry out 1 or 2 internal reforms to correct some behaviors that were not tolerated by the secular world and the government. Then, they could become an ordinary organization. The government and the spiritual world wouldn't be so ruthless. Many sects were even examples of turning over a new leaf. But evil cultists couldn't. Their teachings had already determined their identity. Whether it was the government or the people of the spiritual world, there was only one way to deal with evil cultists and evil cultists. Destroy. Destroy from the body to the soul. Modrich didn't want to be treated as an evil cultist, especially in this place where there were people from the spirit world all around. He and his subordinates combined wouldn't be able to do anything here. Of course, Magri Modric had also registered his presence here, although they were still a little suspicious in the eyes of the person in charge here. But since he could appear so brazenly, it meant that he wasn't afraid of the shadows. You're also here for the protection mission? West was curious. Magri Modric was actually participating in this mission. There are benefits. Benefits? Are you talking about the reward for the Scarlet mission? Although the reward for the Scarlet mission is great, it's too difficult to get the reward in front of hundreds of spiritualists. Modric shook his head. I'm interested in the gift from the Nature Guardian. Are you talking about Poison Dragon? Can he give a reward? As a Nature Guardian, Poison Dragon has a special power that can bestow some special powers to others. What special power? Not necessarily. Magri Modric shook his head. There are very few people who can obtain this power, and there are certain restrictions. The only thing that is certain is that only those with outstanding performance can obtain this gift. Just then, Sivir walked over. She had heard that people from the Sacred Flame sect were nearby, so she had come over to take a look. If the people from the Sacred Flame sect were to cause trouble, she would be able to stop them in time. Due to the Sacred Flame sect's misdeeds in the past, they were the main suspects after arriving here, even though it was unlikely that they were cultists. However, he was still being monitored in secret. Furthermore, the Sacred Flame sect had always been domineering. Sivir felt that if the people of the Sacred Flame sect had a conflict with these people from the North American spiritual world, the Americans would definitely be at a disadvantage. But when she arrived, she found that there was no conflict between them. They seemed to be getting along very well. At the very least, the person in charge of the Sacred Flame sect's team had a pleasant chat with West. Mr. West, do you need any help? Sivir asked. No, I didn't. West shook his head. If you need help, as long as you're in this settlement, you don't have to worry about anything. I promise you that no one will create chaos in front of me. Thank you for your kindness, but we really don't need it. All right then. Seeing that West had no intention of asking her for help, Sivir gave up on being the supernatural organization's protector. West realized that Sivir wasn't very strong, but Magri Modric was very wary of Sivir. Also, Sivir seemed a little nosy. She shouldn't be a staff member here, right? Mr. Muggery, do you know this woman? She is a member of the Holy Council. The Holy Council? It's just a second-rate force. You didn't look so relaxed when you were facing her. Wes went straight to Magri Modric's sore spot. She's the person chosen by the Nature's Guardian. She can borrow the Guardian's power here and in the surrounding areas. In other words, as long as she doesn't squander her magic power, she can borrow the Guardian's power infinitely. Even if the person she borrows power from is very strong, it will hurt herself if she borrows power that doesn't belong to her too many times. So, she can't borrow other people's power infinitely. That's true, but even if she's not really invincible, she still represents the Nature's Guardian. As for a spiritualist trying to attack another spiritualist, the Nature's Guardian appeared. Thank you for your answer, Mr. Muggery. You're welcome. We're friends, aren't we? Modric secretly heaved a sigh of relief. After all, the previous battle had left a deep impression on him. This time, they were competitors too. But Modric still hoped to maintain a good relationship with Chun Zhao. That way, if there was a battle or danger, the people from the supernatural organization might be willing to help them out. Also, the Holy Fire sect wasn't very popular in the residential area. If they were in trouble, others might not take advantage of them, but they would definitely gloat and watch the show. The Sacred Flame sect was in need of a strong and powerful ally here. At the same time, they didn't have anyone that they hated deeply. The supernatural organization had both of these conditions. That was why Modric was willing to tell West and the others about the information he had. I heard that there are some cultists in this residential area, West said. Do you know who they are? I'm not sure who it is exactly. However, when we first arrived here yesterday, someone hinted that he hoped that our Sacred Flame sect could cooperate with them. The other party's words sounded like he was trying to bewitch me. Chapter 1919. Sivir returned to the temporary headquarters. Sivir, why are you back so early today? I didn't have anything to do, so I came back. Sivir sat on the wooden floor. Her roommate, Irene Horton, was the same as her. They were both guardians and managers of order here. Their identities weren't decided by any organization or person. They were given by the nature guardian, Poison Dragon. They could also borrow the power of nature guardians. In this gathering area, there were a total of 6 order guardians and 1 manager. They were in charge of maintaining order here and planning every operation and battle. There are more and more spiritualists in the gathering area. Many cultists have snuck in too. The guardians give us power, but they don't give us the ability to identify cultists. Sivir rubbed her hair. So troublesome. Why did I accept this mission? I didn't see you hesitate when you accepted the guardian's gift, Irene Horton said calmly. You didn't reject the power for free either. Of course, it was impossible for them to get it for free. They had to give as well. Is this where the group of suspicious people you mentioned lives? The people from the supernatural organization came to a house under Modric's lead. Yes, Modric said, but I can't guarantee that they're cultists. West glanced at them. Who wants to go? I'll do it, Unelite said, stepping forward. They were only suspicious now, so they couldn't all attack. If they got the wrong person, they'd all be chased out later. So, if they wanted to attack, one person was the best choice. Even if they were chased out, they'd be chased out alone. Plus, Unelite was the most convenient. After all, he was the fastest. As for how to tell if they were cultists, there wasn't an accurate answer. They could only rely on experience. Unelite nodded at everyone. The next moment, Unelite disappeared before everyone's eyes. Modric was shocked. What a fast speed. If he were to fight Unelite, he would be able to break through his defense in the shortest time possible. Wasn't North America a magic desert? How did this unknown organization have such great power? Furthermore, it wasn't just 1 or 2 of them who were powerful, but all of them. Not everyone was willing to provoke the cultists. Evil cultists were evil cultists. It was because of their anti-human way of thinking. He was ruthless to himself, and even more ruthless to others. In an instant, an elite had already entered a room. There was no one in the room. However, an elite started rummaging through their luggage. Soon enough, an elite found a badge in his luggage. This emblem was carved with 3 ferocious dragon heads. An elite looked at the badge. 3-headed dragon. What sect is it? Church of Truth. Just then, someone entered the room. An elite narrowed his eyes at the newcomer. The Church of Universal Truth. Huh? This is the first time I've met someone who's so cooperative. Truth was what the Church of Truth pursued, but their truth is very different from that of the general public. Their truth is sociopathic, one of the top 10 evil cults in the world. The cultist exuded a dangerous aura and looked at an elite with a sinister gaze. Angelite's pupils suddenly dilated. The next moment, an elite suddenly dodged. A sharp blade slashed through the place where an elite had been standing without any warning. Spatial magic. An elite frowned. He was a spiritualist who specialized in speed, and theoretically, spatial magic was higher than speed. Of course, an elite wouldn't be scared even if he faced a spatial opponent. Even if it was superior magic, in the end, it still required actual combat experience and personal magic power cultivation to rely on. The cultist waved his arm. An elite suddenly sensed danger in front of him. Although there was nothing in front of an elite, he knew that he would be in danger if he took one more step. Spatial magic wasn't just rare, it was also very dangerous and troublesome. Although necromancy was dangerous and strange, most necromancy magic was visible, but spatial magic was mostly invisible. When fighting against spatial enemies, one had to rely on one's senses. There are spatial traps all around you. You'll die if you move again. The cultist stared at an elite coldly. An elite raised his hands decisively. I surrender. The cultist sneered. He didn't believe that an elite would surrender so easily. A lot of sharp blades suddenly shot out from the spatial traps around an elite. An elite was prepared as well. In an instant, Angelide's arms danced in the air. All the sharp blades were caught between his fingers. The next moment, an elite waved his arms. The blades flew back into the spatial traps. Also, when an elite returned the blades, he had filled them with magic power. These spaces themselves were constructed from magic power. Once abnormal magic power appeared, it would directly cause space to become unstable and collapse. An elite broke free in an instant. The cultist felt a pain in his neck. An elite had already grabbed him by the neck. Just then, the cultist pressed the alarm. All the cultists who lived nearby swarmed over. You can't escape. The cultist stared at an elite. You're fighting against the world's consciousness, so you're bound to lose. An elite smiled casually. You don't represent the world's consciousness. By then, more cultists had charged into the building. An elite sped up again. His figure was beyond the limits of what the naked eye could see. An elite left a trail of flames behind as he charged. All the cultists in his path collapsed. An elite was too fast. He didn't give the cultists any time to cast their spells. The first cultist had always been in Angelide's grasp. The pressure he endured had also exceeded the limits of human endurance. When an elite stopped again, the cultist in his hand was on the verge of death. See? You lost. An elite had a faint smile on his face. The cultist looked up at an elite. Are you sure we lost? An elite had the cultist firmly in his control. He didn't have a chance to attack. Then show me how you resist. One day you'll understand. The viruses of your world don't understand. Everything is arranged by fate. Even everything you're doing now is part of the plan. Chapter 1920. The battle here had already alarmed more than half of the gathering area. Many people came to watch, but no one interfered. Sivir and Irene Horton pushed through the crowd. When Sivir saw an elite, she recognized him. It's him. Do you know his mom? Irene Horton asked. I brought him and his friends to register. I only know that they're from North America. This person is very strong, at least stronger than most people in the gathering area. Is he really from North America? Irene Horton asked in surprise. It was like a football genius in China. It would cause a sensation. This person is not only strong, but also very experienced. Sivir was also surprised. He could face more than 20 enemies alone and still fight with ease. His enemies weren't weak, but they couldn't do anything to an elite. Sivir frowned and was about to stop the fight. Irene Horton stopped Sivir. Don't go over yet. What's wrong? Sivir asked, confused. Look at the weapons they're holding. The two daggers are strange. They look like ancient daggers. They're used to bleed. Some ancient religions would use these daggers to bleed sacrifices. Sivir raised an eyebrow. There were a few victims a few days ago. They were bled. That's right. Irene Horton nodded. Very few people use this kind of dagger now. Those two looked very familiar with it, as if they had practiced it before. They're cultists. Sivir suddenly realized. Sivir looked in the direction of the supernatural organization. They didn't want to fight either. They were all watching from aside. The battle didn't last long. An elite displayed overwhelming strength and his unparalleled battle experience. Even with his back to the enemy, no one could attack him from behind. An elite clapped his hands and walked to Sivir and Irene Horton. Then, he flicked his finger, and a badge he'd found from the cultists landed in Sivir's hand. Siver's pupils contracted when she saw the badge. Truth. Reason. Sect was a famous evil sect. They found it there. Elite, on the other hand, strolled back to the team in a carefree manner. The records in the Heroic Spirits notebook are not bad, West said. The reason they attacked the cultists was for the merit points. There are a few unfriendly gazes, Helios said. Looks like there are still fish that escaped the net, an elite said. These cultists seem to be planning something. Grandpa, I'm already at your door. Sandel called Stephen. Oh, wait, you're in front of my house? Stephen suddenly realized. Yeah, what's wrong? I'm not at home now. I'm at the company, Stephen said quickly. It's okay. I have the key to your house, Sandel said. Wait, I'm going to change the key, Stephen said. I'll get my bodyguard to give you the key. But you didn't lock the door. Sander pushed open the door of Stephen's villa. I'm already in. Don't go in yet. Stephen was anxious. Raymond was still in his house. Don't scare Sandel by barging him like this. Confused, Sandel walked into the villa. Sandel, I remember now. I have something here. Come to my company immediately. I have something for you. Grandpa, can't you just bring it back? I'm tired. I don't want to move now. Sandel entered the villa and went to the kitchen to get a drink. You should be back soon. Why are you free to come to my house? Don't you go to school? It's the weekend. Mom doesn't come home all day. I'm bored at home alone, so I plan to stay here for 2 days. Grandpa, do you not welcome me? No, I welcome you. Of course I welcome you. Why wouldn't I? Stephen stuttered. Then rest well and watch the movie first. There's a DVD of my new movie at home. I've already watched it in the theater. Then watch it again. I've watched it 10 times to support your movie. The DVD at home is different. What's different? It's a Blu-ray and a lot of content that wasn't edited in the theater. Oh, then I'll watch it again. Sandel turned on the DVD player and found the DVD that Stephen mentioned. The DVD player had just played the beginning of the movie. Sandel suddenly heard a sound outside. Sandel turned his head and saw nothing. But just as Sandel turned his attention back to the movie, he heard a splash from the swimming pool outside. Sandel stood up in confusion and looked at the swimming pool through the French windows. There were ripples in the swimming pool, but there was nothing in the swimming pool. There was no one in sight either. Sandel frowned. There was no one here, and there was nothing in the water. Why were there ripples? Sandel walked to the front yard and looked around a few times. There was a water stain next to the pool, and the water stain left a clear trail that extended into the grass next to it. Something seemed to have crawled out of the water and hid in the grass. Sander swallowed his saliva. Could it be that some unknown person had entered the villa? Sandel shouted into the grass, "Come out, I see you." But no one responded to Sander. Sandel shouted again, "If you don't come out, I'll call the police." Still, there was no movement. Sandel gathered his courage and rushed to the edge of the grass, pulling it open. There was nothing inside. It was empty. Sandel heaved a long sigh of relief. Suddenly, Sandel felt a chill on the back of her neck. It was like a cold wind blowing on the back of her neck. Sandel turned his head, but he saw a ferocious face. Snake. A super big snake. The huge snake's head was facing Sandel, less than 10 centimeters away from her face. Their eyes met, and then Sandel fell backward and fainted. Not long after, Stephen came running back in a hurry. Seeing Raymond and Sandel lying on the ground, he hurried over. Raymond, what did you do to Sandel? Raymond spat a mouthful of saliva onto Stephen's body, then turned around and dove into the bushes. Stephen wiped away Raymond's saliva and hurriedly picked up Sandel. Sandel was only unconscious, not injured. Obviously, he had misunderstood Raymond just now. Stephen had misunderstood Raymond because he was too anxious. Chapter 1921. Helplessly, Stephen could only call Chun Zhao. Chun, something happened at home. What? Just now, when Sandel came back, she ran into Raymond and fainted. Then take her to the hospital. Why are you calling me? Raymond seems to be angry at me. I misunderstood him. Okay, I'll go now. When Chun Zhao arrived at Stephen's house, Raymond came out. Master, take me back. I hate this old human man. Chun Zhao shrugged helplessly. Okay, Stephen hurriedly ran out. Chun, you're here. How's your granddaughter? She just fainted. Take me to see her. Raymond, he's angry. Then help me explain. Explain my ass. It's already a misunderstanding. Raymond had always been petty. Explanations were useless against him. If not for Chun Zhao restraining him, Raymond would probably have torn Stephen apart. After all, Raymond was a demon, and one that could distinguish between gratitude and grudges. What do we do now? I'll take Raymond back. Stephen was also helpless, but he still felt somewhat guilty. Take me to see your granddaughter. Chun Zhao entered the room and checked on Sannel. She was fine. She was just scared. Fainting was a human's self-protection mechanism. Excessive psychological and physiological reactions would cause the brain to temporarily seal itself, which was fainting. It's nothing. She'll wake up after a nap. And then what? How do I explain to Sannel later? Just say that she fainted from anemia and had hallucinations. There's nothing hard to explain, Chun Zhao said matter-of-factly. That's true. Stephen nodded. Chun, apologize to Raymond for me. I misunderstood him. Apologize yourself. I can't do anything about it. How can someone else apologize for you? What does Raymond like to eat? This can't be made up for with food. Raymond's pride is hurt. Stephen felt more and more guilty. He wanted to do something to make up for Raymond's hurt. Chun Zhao brought Raymond back. Sannel screamed as soon as she woke up. But when she opened her eyes, she saw Stephen and Daly Moore standing by her window. Grandpa, Mom, a snake, a very big snake. Sunir exclaimed. What snake? I saw it. I really saw it. A very, very big snake. What snake? Sannel, are you hallucinating? The doctor came just now and said you're in a coma due to anemia, Daly Moore said. Illusion? Is it an illusion? Sanner looked at Stephen in surprise. Yeah, I don't have any snakes here, Stephen said with certainty. Was it really an illusion? Sannel heard Stephen and Dahlia Moore's replies. He was also a little unsure. After all, the giant snake in her mind was too exaggerated. Normally speaking, it was impossible for such a huge snake to exist. Therefore, Stephen and Daly Moore's explanation made more sense. However, when he was unconscious, how could he have such a hallucination? Moreover, his body had always been very healthy. How did he suddenly become anemic? But Sanger didn't think too much about it. Rest well. Stephen and Dahlia Moore left the room. Dahlia Moore, is Sannel okay? She's fine. She's just scared. What can happen to her? I was worried that she'd be like you. How can there be such a coincidence? Dahlia Moore shook her head. That's good. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome. It's not troublesome. I can solve it myself now. Plus, I know my kind. Plus, even if my friend and I can't solve it, there's still Chun. There's nothing he can't solve. Is Chun stronger than you and your friend? There's no comparison. Dahlia Moore had never seen Chun Zhao fight with his full strength, but Notsinger had seen him before. She'd even told her about Chun Zhao's terrifying side. Stephen, on the other hand, was just an ordinary person, so he didn't have any concept of strength. But Stephen had seen Chun Zhao fight before. That was the only time he'd experienced a supernatural event. Stephen still had a deep impression of it. Basically, as long as it's a supernatural event, Chun can solve it. Is Chun that strong? My friend said that there's almost no one in the world who can beat Chun. Then he should go boxing. He can definitely become a boxing superstar. No, I think he has a student who's a boxer. Dahlia Moore felt like she was playing the piano to a cow. Stephen couldn't understand it all. Boxing? All the boxers combined couldn't even compare to one of Chun Zhao's fingers. Nagasaka Reiko enjoyed the scenery along the way. It was her first time in Los Angeles. Before coming, her grandmother, Yoko Hikari, had reminded her many times. She had to maintain a good relationship with Chun Zhao. This would determine whether she could successfully take over the position of the Witch of Tokyo Grand Shrine in the future. Nagasaka Reiko had also seen Chun Zhao's most terrifying side. She was one of the few people who'd witnessed and survived the battle between Chun Zhao and Tamamonome. After passing the coastal highway, a gorgeous manor built on a cliff appeared before them. When the car arrived at Mingwe Villa, Nagasaka Reiko alighted. Nagaka Reiko entered Mingyue Villa and saw Chun Zhao and the children playing around. Nagasaka Reiko saw a huge head in the courtyard. It was clearly the head of Dragon. "Hello, Mr. Chun." "Yes, hello. Nice to meet you, Ms. Reiko." Chun Zhao nodded. "I just arrived in Los Angeles today, so I came to greet you as soon as possible. Don't be so polite. I'm not used to it. What plans do you have next?" Chun Zhao looked at Nagasaka Reiko. He was not used to Nagasaka Reiko's politeness. Nagasaka Reiko had too many etiquettes. The moment she found Chun Zhao, she knelt on the ground and kowtowed to him. "I'm planning to go through the enrollment procedures at UCLA," Nagasaka Reiko said respectfully. "Also, I hope to become a part of the supernatural organization. Even if it's just an internship, it's fine. Please allow me, Mr. Chun." "Sure, but the people from the organization have all gone to Africa, so there's no one at the headquarters now. Find a place to live first and focus on the enrollment procedures. When the people from the organization come back, I'll arrange for you to join the organization." "Yes, Mr. Chun. I think you've just arrived in Los Angeles and have many things to do, so I won't keep you here." Chapter 1922. "Yes, Mr. Chun. I will follow all your orders." Nagasaka Reiko knelt before Chun Zhao and bowed. Chun Zhao rubbed his forehead. He really couldn't accept Japanese etiquette. It was as if this was the only way they could talk properly. Before he left Japan, he promised Yoko White that he would take care of Nagasaka Reiko. One of the most important reasons was Donya Tianchi. In the past, Higashino Tianchi had been taken care of by Yoko Baina. Donya Tianchi was one of his people, so it was only right for him to return the favor. It was also human nature for him to take care of Nagasaka Reiko. Before Nagasaka Reiko could leave Mingyue Villa, Wang He arrived. When Nagasaka Reiko saw Wang He, she was stunned for a moment before bowing to Wang He. "Hello, Crane Lord." Wang He's current reputation in Asia had far surpassed that of Europe and America. Especially among the youths, she had become an iconic star. Of course, Nagasaka Reiko also knew Wang He. Wang He was also stunned for a moment, even though Nagasaka Reiko spoke in English. However, her posture made it obvious where she came from. "Can I have your autograph?" Okay." Wang He gave Nagasaka Reiko an autograph. After all, Nagasaka Reiko had appeared in Mingyue Villa. She must know Chun Zhao. Wang He turned around and looked at Chun Zhao. "Crane Lord, are you here to see Mr. Chun?" "Yes, Mr. Chun and I are old acquaintances. Then I won't bother you anymore. Goodbye." Nagasaka Reiko bowed, and Wang He followed suit and bowed. He didn't know how to return the gesture. Most of the countrymen could not accept the Japanese etiquette. Wang He brought Xiao Lu to Chun Zhao. "Hello, Mr. Chun. All right, let's sit down and talk." At this moment, Xiao Lu was shocked by the magnificence of the Mingyue Villa. In China, except for the area around Xiangjiang, it was basically impossible to see a manor of this scale in the mainland, especially in such a position. Xiao Lu was very reserved. He didn't know whether to stand or sit. "Xiao Lu, bring the present from Mr. Chun." Chun Zhao glanced at the gift Lu was holding. "Put it down. It's really heavy. What would you like to drink?" "Coke." "Lu, don't tell Ninjia." This was not the first time Wang He had met Chun Zhao, nor was it his first time at Mingyue Villa. Therefore, relatively speaking, it was much easier. "Back home, all my food and drink are restricted," Wang He said with a smile. "This is the price of being a star. Didi, help me get a few bottles of Coke. I'm quite envious of you. Everywhere you go, there are flowers and applause." "I envy you too, Mr. Chun." "All right, enough with the pleasantries. Did you change your assistant? I've never seen him before." Chun Zhao looked at Lu. "Mr. Chun, nice to meet you. I'm Lu Yiming, Brother Wang's new agent." Xiao Lu was also someone who had seen the world. He had been in the industry for a long time. He had also accumulated a certain amount of connections, coupled with excellent workability. It was because of this that he was able to snatch the opportunity to become Wang He's manager. He had also met some big bosses. Of course, this was the first time he had the opportunity to meet such a top tycoon face to face. There was no chance for him to talk to such a tycoon in China. After all, he was in the entertainment industry. The biggest boss in the entertainment industry was not considered a top tycoon, not to mention a small fry like him. There were many people in the entertainment industry who had more connections and skills than him. At most, he had a bit of fame in the industry. Therefore, he did not dare to be careless when facing Chen Zhao, nor did he dare to put on airs and think too highly of himself. That young lady earlier is a Japanese? Yes, a relative's child. Mr. Chen, you have Japanese blood? You're the one with Japanese blood. Your whole family is Japanese. Chen Zhao scolded immediately. Wang Yi smiled awkwardly. The more Chen Zhao scolded him, the more he felt fine. Mr. Chen, where's Ms. Gaia? Oh, she went to Africa, Chen Zhao said. Is there any new movie? I'm waiting for Mr. Chen to invest. Wang He replied, smiling. I'm just playing. God knows when the next movie will be. If you wait for me to invest in a new movie, don't even think about it for the rest of your life. Wang Yi chuckled. He also knew that Chen Zhao could not invest in every movie. Compared to when they first met, Wang He was much more mature now. Whether it was his speech, behavior, or expression, he could be calm. He no longer showed his emotions on his face like before. His conversation with Chen Zhao was more like a conversation between friends. Mr. Chen, are you going to the movie celebration party? I won't go. I hate those kinds of occasions the most. It's too troublesome. Chen Zhao shook his head. I want to be as carefree as you, Mr. Chen. But Wang He also knew that it was impossible. After all, he was an artist, no matter how high his status was. He had to be respectful to investors, sponsors, and even directors and assistant directors. Mr. Chen, when are you coming back? I don't have any plans for now. Wang Yi was not the first person to say this. But Chen Zhao did not know what he would do after returning. There were only a few people he had contact with in China, such as his university teachers. He would only say good wishes to his teachers during holidays. As for his classmates or friends, he had basically lost contact with them. He did not even visit his relatives in China. Why would he go back? Therefore, Chen Zhao basically gave up on the idea of returning. Wang He and Chen Zhao chatted for an hour. They were basically talking about the changes in China. Wang He had always thought that Chen Zhao had been abroad for more than 10 years. In reality, Chen Zhao had only been abroad for a little more than 2 years. There would not be any drastic changes in China. Chen Zhao did not correct Wang He's thoughts. The two had a good chat. Then, Wang He said goodbye and left. Chen Zhao glanced at the time. He had not called Xin Li and the others today. It should be around 9 at night in England. Chen Zhao called Xin Li. Xin Li, are you still in Edinburgh? Uncle, we're in London now. Our next stop is Denmark's capital, Copenhagen. Oh, have a good time. Uncle, we're not playing. We're exploring. Xin Li corrected him immediately. Okay, I was wrong. I hope your exploration goes well. Xin Li still did not know that Chen Zhao had interfered when she was injured last time. She thought that she had hidden it perfectly and that Ruan Faxi and the others had cooperated well too. Her explanation to Chen Zhao was that she had lost her phone for the past 2 days, so she had not called him. Chapter 1923. Chen Zhao took out the stone that he'd gotten from Edinburgh. This stone had fused with the king of monsters, the 100-headed snake. The stone was very big. The longest part was about 40 meters long, and the smallest part was 20 meters. It was almost oval. It weighed more than 1,000 tons. Even a 100-headed snake couldn't move it. Chen Zhao had been studying the stone's texture over the past few days, but he didn't get any results. Yang Guo had said that he could feel the life force contained in the stone. He'd already sent the small stone back to Dragon Tiger Mountain. Chen Zhao couldn't feel the life force in it, but he'd seen it in his battle with the 100-headed snake. No matter how many heads Chen Zhao cut off, he could always regrow them. Even Chen Zhao couldn't compare to its surging life force. Other than those that could crush Chen Zhao with a finger, the 100-headed snake's life force was the strongest he'd ever seen. It was closest to being immortal. Even with the black trident, Chen Zhao had to stab the place where the 100-headed snake was connected to the stone to kill it. Chen Zhao suddenly thought of something. Satan's blood was pure destruction, while this stone was pure life force. If they collided, who would be left behind? Satan's blood was the most domineering thing Chen Zhao had ever seen. except for Chun Zhao's black trident. When Old Turtle ascended, he'd fused his inner core, which was transformed from immortal power, into the black trident. Therefore, it wasn't an exaggeration to call it an immortal weapon. Satan's blood was even more domineering. Anyone below the Demon King level would die with one touch. Chun Zhao would need hundreds or even thousands of years to absorb the power in Satan's blood. Therefore, Chun Zhao was thinking that if there was something that could neutralize Satan's blood, would it be easier for him to absorb it? But how to fuse it was another problem. Should he release Satan's blood directly from the bottle? Just the destructive power of Satan's blood alone was enough to destroy Chun Zhao's Mingwei Villa and all the living things within 100 miles. Of course, Chun Zhao could use a cool spell to absorb the power of Satan's blood in advance. But then, Satan's blood would become a one-time weapon. Chun Zhao couldn't absorb it for his own power. He could only use it as a weapon. Therefore, the idea of using Satan's blood to fuse with this stone was obviously not feasible. He wanted to see if his immortal energy would react to it. Chun Zhao tried to send his immortal power into the stone, but there was no reaction. Chun Zhao touched the rough surface with his palm. The material of this stone was very hard. However, it was not indestructible. Chun Zhao thought of the 100-headed snake. It could fuse with rocks. Furthermore, he could absorb the life force within it. However, that kind of fusion was clearly not what Chun Zhao wanted. He didn't want his body to grow on a rock. Chun Zhao thought of a solution, a very old-fashioned one. Eat stones. Chun Zhao broke a stone off the boulder and put it in his mouth to chew. Of course, the taste was not good, very bad. Chun Zhao finished it in one bite. His mouth was already dry, so he had to drink it with water. Useful? He realized that his digestive system was absorbing the life force in the stone. But isn't this absorption and digestion speed a little too slow? Not only was it a problem of low efficiency, but the utilization rate was also very low. If it is taken orally in this manner, even if Chun Zhao ate day and night, it would take him more than a decade to finish over 1,000 tons of stones. By then, even if Chun Zhao didn't get stones, his teeth would fall out. Moreover, there was an 80% to 90% chance that this method would also waste the vitality within. Would Chun Zhao have to absorb it a second time? Just thinking about it was disgusting. So, taking it orally was clearly the stupidest method. There had to be a more efficient way. Chun Zhao thought of another problem. Why could it be absorbed in his stomach? Was it stomach acid, or is it just liquid? Chun Zhao thought about it and decided to do an experiment. He soaked the stones in fresh water, seawater, and vinegar. He wanted to see how the three reacted to the stones. After 20 minutes of soaking, Chun Zhao observed the three separately. They all seemed to have similar effects. Then, Chun Zhao drank the liquid that had soaked the stones. Seawater had the worst effect. Chun Zhao absorbed very little life force, less than 20%. Fresh water had the best effect. It could absorb about 80% of the liquid's life force. Vinegar was average. It could absorb about 50% of the liquid's life force. However, vinegar dissolved the stones the fastest. This was understandable. After all, acid was the most corrosive substance in nature. Chun Zhao thought about it. Even if he soaked it in fresh water, it would probably take decades to completely dissolve such a large stone. Just then, Zhang Tianyi called. Chun Zhao, how have you been? Nothing much. Why are you so angry? What made you unhappy this time? Nothing, what's up? Can I call you to greet you? For no reason. All right. Are you done greeting them? You must have taken the wrong medicine, Zhang Tianyi said frivolously. Tell me, what's up? Zhang Tianyi could hear Chun Zhao's impatience and immediately returned to the topic. Okay, do you still have the stones you asked Yang would send? Yes. Chun Zhao's heart skipped a beat, but his tone remained calm. Give me some more. No more. Chun Zhao, can we be more sincere? You want them all the time? Do you think there's a lot of them? I only have a little myself. From the marks on the stone you gave me, it's definitely from a very large stone. It's at least dozens of kilograms. I don't want a lot. Just give me half. Chun Zhao sneered. Tell me your conditions, Zhang Tianyi said dejectedly. This stone contains a lot of vitality, right? Chun Zhao asked. Hearing this, Zhang Tianyi was even more dejected. Since Chen Zhao already knew, he couldn't ask for too low a price. Cut the crap. Tell me your conditions. What do they call them in the spiritual world? Chen Zhao asked. In China, they call them primordial stones. In Europe and America, they call them life stones. How do you usually absorb primordial stones? Chen Zhao asked. That's difficult. Sorry for disturbing. Chen Zhao hung up. A while later, Zhang Tianyi called again. How can you be like this? You hang up the moment you don't agree with me. It's because you're not honest at all. Fine, let's be honest. First, tell me how many primordial stones you have. Around 100 kilograms, Chen Zhao said. Based on your cunning personality, that means you have at least 200 kilograms. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 1924. Chen Zhao and Zhang Tianyi weren't actually close. More accurately, they'd only met twice. The first time was when 23rd generation Blood Mary brought him to Moon Villa. They'd had an exchange of magic, dharma, and enlightenment. The other time was when he was in Dongying, so they weren't close. But Chen Zhao felt that they should be. Zhang Tianyi was a charismatic person. It was hard for people to distance themselves from him. His casual and carefree attitude made Chen Zhao feel comfortable. Of course, just because Chen Zhao liked Zhang Tianyi didn't mean he'd give it to him for free. Old Zhang, let's be honest. Why did you take the primordial stones? Nonsense, Zhang Tianyi said matter-of-factly. With such dense vitality, of course I use it to extend my lifespan. Does Dragon Tiger Mountain have some secret technique that can absorb the vitality of primordial stones? This secret technique is a secret of our Longhu Mountain. Name your price. Zhang Tianyi could speak to Chen Zhao so calmly. This meant that it was on the trade list. I want 50 kilograms, Zhang Tianyi said. Zhang Tianyi said, don't be in a hurry to bargain. 50 kilograms of primordial stones can increase my lifespan by almost 10 years. I know that you have at least 200 kilograms of primordial stones in your hands. I only want a quarter of your lifespan. It's not too much. If you rely on primordial stones, you can at most increase your lifespan by 30 years. You can only strengthen your body, but it can achieve the effect of increasing your lifespan. More than 30 years, and it won't work? Hearing that, Zhang Tianyi immediately yelled, Great! You really have more primordial stones. It's none of your business, Chen Zhao said straightforwardly. I'll agree to 50 kilograms. Don't even think about more. How much do you have? None of your business. Tell me how much you have. Not much. Tell me the truth. How much do you have? Around 300 kilograms. Really? Really, more real than pearls. Give me 150 kilograms, Zhang Tianyi said. No, you want half at once. Don't even think about it. Definitely more than 300 kilograms. You definitely have more. I really didn't. Chen Zhao wouldn't admit it no matter what. Chen Zhao, you're still young. You can't understand my fear of death. I don't have much time left. I really didn't. Give me 150 kilograms. You keep another 150 kilograms. More is useless. You said that this can increase the strength of the body. This kind of treasure should be used to increase one's lifespan, not to strengthen one's physical body. Moreover, with the strength of your current physical body, no matter how many primordial stones you have, it won't have much effect on you. I can let my family use it. Hee. In this world, other than you, me, and Blood Mary, no one else can use it. Why? For those who are powerful enough, it's a treasure. For those who aren't, it's a deadly poison. How about this? Give me 150 kilograms, and I'll tell you how to increase your lifespan and strengthen your body. Chen Zhao thought for a while and answered, sure. It's very simple. Fuse the origin stone with the small world. The small world can naturally absorb the life force within the primordial stone. That's simple. That's simple, Zhang Tianyi said with certainty. You tricked me of 150 kilograms of primordial stones for such a simple answer. What do you mean by tricking? It's a fair trade. If I figure out myself, I can figure it out too, Chen Zhao said, gritting his teeth. But you haven't figured out yet. You said that this is a secret technique of Dragon Tiger Mountain. Yes, it's simple, but it's indeed a secret technique. Zhang Tianyi answered shamelessly. Oh, right. This method can only be used once. After that, it can't be used again. What do you mean it can't be used again? Once the small world fuses with the primordial stone once, it can't be fused a second time. Zhang Tianyi paused. Actually, the small world can fuse with everything in the world. Similarly, there's only one chance. What do you mean by fusing? Your small world has no element, right? Chen Zhao didn't deny it. To Zhang Tianyi, this wasn't a secret. Yes, everyone's small world has no element at the beginning. Apart from replenishing near-infinite magical power, it has no other use. However, it can be fused with some special power or some treasure to give your small world a special element, Zhang Tianyi said. Zhang Tianyi said, "You've met some enemies who have the power to call the wind and summon the rain, right? Their small world has a special attribute." Chun Zhao nodded subconsciously. Indeed. He'd met some enemies who were clearly weaker than him. However, they had the power to summon wind and rain. So, what they lacked was the small world's element. Has your small world never fused with other things? Chun Zhao asked curiously. No, I don't need it. I'm strong enough now. Nothing or anyone can threaten me. Also, in the past few decades, there's nothing worth fusing with, so even if it's a small world with no element, I have absolute power. I'm pissed off by your tone. Let's fight? I can't be bothered with you. Do you want to argue with me or listen to my explanation? Fine, continue. The benefit of fusing with the primordial stone is to increase your lifespan and strengthen your physical strength at the same time, but it will also make you lose the opportunity to obtain other attributes in the future. Zhang Tianyi said, the use of the small world is actually more mysterious and complicated than you think. If it was just increasing his lifespan, Chen Zhao might not be tempted. However, Chen Zhao didn't just have a few primordial stones now. He had more than 1,000 tons. Chen Zhao was very tempted. He could use the stones to strengthen his body. This wasn't an unacceptable condition. Moreover, Chen Zhao didn't need other elements. For example, Chen Zhao's second small world, Lightning Storm. The effects of Lightning Storm were shocking. However, it wasn't that useful against someone of the same level. It was even useless. The first owner of Lightning Storm had used it against Chen Zhao, but it didn't seem to have any effect. What steps do I need to fuse with the stones? Or some secret technique? No, go figure out yourself. It's not difficult for you. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Okay. As soon as Chen Zhao hung up, Mary, the 23rd generation's blood, called. Chen Zhao's heart skipped a beat. Zhang Tianyi, that old bastard, really didn't keep his mouth shut. Mr. Chen, do you know why I'm calling you? Not really. 150 kilograms of primordial stones. Name your conditions. The 23rd Blood Mary said seriously, also, the golden apple that your adopted daughter is looking for is pointing to the Holy Garden. In other words, even without your guidance, my adopted daughter might be able to find it on her own. Anyone who enters the Holy Garden will be killed. If I didn't warn you, are you sure your adopted daughter would have survived? After all, they are about to face a true god. Fine. Chen Zhao had to admit it. The 23rd Blood Mary's words had indeed helped him avert a tragedy. Also, the golden apple has endless power. It can give you the power you need. In other words, the golden apple will give you whatever magic element you have. So, in comparison, the golden apple tree is more valuable than the primordial stone, the 23rd Blood Mary said. Also, the golden apple tree only bears 3 fruits each time. It only bears fruit once every 1,000 years. You only provided me with information. You didn't bring the golden apple tree to my house. So, I only want your primordial stone. I don't want you to pay more. Chen Zhao took a deep breath. Fine, I agree to this deal. Tomorrow, Zhang Tianyi and I will go to your place, the 23rd Blood Mary said. Both the 23rd generation Blood Mary and Zhang Tianyi attached great importance to this, more seriously than anything else. They even wanted to show up personally. Chun Zhao thought for a moment and suddenly thought of a question. Have you seen Hercules? He asked. Blood Mary of the 23rd generation knew ancient Greek, and her space magic was compiled in ancient Greek. So, Chun Zhao suspected that the 23rd Blood Mary had come into contact with an existence from ancient Greek legends. Yes, I've entered the Holy Garden, the 23rd Blood Mary said without hesitation. I thought I was strong enough. Even if I couldn't defeat Hercules, I could at least protect myself. But I still underestimated the power of the legendary gods. Since they were going to cooperate, the 23rd Blood Mary naturally had to show her sincerity. So, she planned to tell Chun Zhao everything. That was a despairing existence. With just one attack destroyed my little world. It took me several years to rebuild my little world, but it wasn't like I didn't gain anything. I found a spatial magic book in the Holy Garden. Although it couldn't compare to the Golden Apple, at least it made up for my loss. How did you escape from Hercules? The difference in power is so huge. I really can't think of how you escaped. If it was Chun Zhao, he wouldn't let the 23rd Blood Mary escape if he started a war with her. I'm old, so I treasure my life a lot more, the 23rd Blood Mary said. The 23rd Blood Mary said, I did not confront Hercules directly. With the secret method, I was able to escape unscathed from Hercules. I should be the only human who could escape from him after entering the sacred garden. Being able to escape from the hands of a true god was a great achievement for the 23rd generation Blood Mary. Chun Zhao didn't know what he was feeling right now. A god? Was he finally lucky enough to face a real god? Moreover, the legendary Hercules was also known for his endless power. He seemed to have the same element as Chun Zhao. He didn't know if he could fight Hercules. Even Chun Zhao wasn't confident. The 23rd Blood Mary didn't tell Chun Zhao the location of the Holy Garden. After all, she hadn't gotten the primordial stone yet. She didn't want to take the risk. After all, the stone was too important to her. Chapter 1926. Zhang Tianyi and the 23rd generation Blood Mary both took a day to get to Los Angeles. Chun Zhao also divided the origin stones and gave them to them. Zhang Tianyi started checking in front of Chun Zhao. Old Zhang, your actions clearly show that you don't trust me. We're not that close. Zhang Tianyi rolled his eyes. Zhang Tianyi and the 23rd Blood Mary didn't tell anyone about this. They didn't even tell their subordinates or disciples. After all, the primordial stone was too important to them, even if the others couldn't use the mixed essence stone. But who didn't want to live for 30 years? If this matter were to spread, they would never have a day of peace. Chun Zhao would never have a day of peace either. This matter would remain a secret forever. Even when they came to Los Angeles, they were very secretive. After the two old men and old women checked, they confirmed that the primordial stones were correct and the number was correct. Old Zhang, how is this mixed energy stone made? Chun Zhao asked curiously. Nonsense, how would I know? If I knew, I would have produced them in bulk. Zhang Tianyi rolled his eyes. There are too many treasures of heaven and earth with unknown origins in this world. Who has the time to think about their origins? I occasionally find primordial origin stones in Europe. The 23rd Blood Mary said they're all from the Warcraft battlefield from hundreds of years ago, or even older, so people speculate that the primordial stones are the fossils of Warcraft beasts. Chun Zhao, you must have more primordial stones, right? No, I really don't, Chun Zhao said helplessly. Anyway, Chun Zhao had decided to play dumb until the end. He absolutely could not admit that he still had a lot. Zhang Tianyi and 23rd didn't believe him. However, they still felt that even if Chun Zhao had more, there wouldn't be many. After all, this thing was precious. Even if he could find primordial stones on a normal day, it would be 1 or 2 kilograms at most. Those who need it are eager, and those who don't need it are discarded. Of course, those people couldn't fuse with a small world like Zhang Tianyi, the 23rd generation, and Chun Zhao. They could also think of other ways, although he was not as efficient as the three of them. However, everyone longed to enjoy a longer lifespan. Zhang Tianyi and the 23rd generation were very happy, especially the 23rd generation. She was prepared to face the end of her life. Who would have thought that he would be able to escape from death's door? Chun Zhao had actually found the origin stone. Moreover, it could be said to be a very large number of primordial stones. Chun Zhao, where did you get this stone? I fished it out of the sea, Chun Zhao answered casually. You guys merged with the primordial stone here. I want to see the process. I also don't know how to do it. Old Zhang, take this opportunity to demonstrate it to us, said XCI. Zhang Tianyi knew that if he didn't demonstrate it on the spot, he wouldn't be able to leave. To a certain extent, Chun Zhao and the 23rd generation were both unreasonable. Zhang Tianyi pursed his lips. It's not a difficult task. Just watch. Zhang Tianyi demonstrated the process of fusing the primordial stone in front of the two of them. Chun Zhao and the 23rd generation protected Zhang Tianyi. Zhang Tianyi held the primordial stone in his hands, and the power of his little heaven and earth began to seep into the primordial stone. Chun Zhao and 23rd observed every detail. Zhang Tianyi was caught off guard. He wholeheartedly devoted himself to the fusion process. With every bit of penetration, the primordial stone would peel off a layer of stone shell. These stone shells had already lost most of their vitality. With a light touch, it dissipated. However, there was still a very thin amount of vitality left. The entire process only took a dozen minutes. Zhang Tianyi finished the fusion. Zhang Tianyi was completely energized. His white hair turned black too. It was as if he'd become 10 years younger. The 23rd generation was the most excited. Zhang Tianyi had indeed become younger. Don't take the primordial stone powder away. It's mine too. Chun Zhao grabbed a handful of the powder. What's this for? It's good for medicine too. Zhang Tianyi carefully put away all the powder. After a few thousand years, it can gather into a primordial stone again. Chun Zhao's face twitched. A few thousand years? Who would have a few thousand years? But after hearing Zhang Tianyi's words, Chun Zhao thought of his super primordial stone. England had once been called the Island of Monsters. Could the super primordial stone be formed from the remains of monsters? After all, humans had killed all the monsters in order to rule England. No one could say for sure how many they'd killed. Zhang Tianyi took out a knife and cut a hole in the middle of his palm. The wound on his palm quickly healed. What a powerful recovery ability. 23rd generation gasped in amazement. It's really effective. Zhang Tianyi was also very satisfied. But Chun Zhao was secretly disdainful. He didn't need the life force in the primordial stone to have such strong recovery. Of course, this was mainly because his cultivation was all in his body. How do I make medicine? Chun Zhao asked. You don't even know the basics, Zhang Tianyi said disdainfully, glancing at Chun Zhao. There's no point in telling you. Let's spar. Chun Zhao was instantly enraged. Whatever. I'll have my disciple give you a recipe later. Then, 23rd generation also started the fusion. At their level, as long as the user didn't purposely hide, the casting process wouldn't escape their eyes. The 23rd generation also took only 10 minutes to complete the fusion process. The two looked at Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao shrugged. Why are you looking at me? Aren't you going to do it now? I don't have any more primordial stones. Chun Zhao didn't want to take out the super primordial stone. He didn't want the two to get greedy. It was too eye-catching. 23rd generation, and Zhang Tianyi didn't believe him. Okay, we're leaving. Zhang Tianyi and 23rd generation didn't plan on staying. After all, they'd come secretly, so they had to leave secretly too. After confirming that they'd left, Chun Zhao entered the river map. It would take a long time to completely fuse such a huge amount of primordial stone. 23rd generation and Zhang Tianyi used more than 10 minutes to fuse 150 kilograms of primordial stone. However, Chun Zhao's 1,000 tons of primordial stone needed more than 10,000 times more time than them. Therefore, he had to enter the river map to fuse. Of course, Chun Zhao didn't forget Zhang Tianyi's words. He collected the fuse powder. Chun Zhao realized that his fusion speed was very fast at the beginning. It was mainly because his small world had completely covered the primordial stone. However, as the stone shell of the primordial stone kept peeling off, the speed gradually slowed down. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.